make a choice. Sometimes in life, you have to find your voice. Sometimes in life, you need your friends. And now's the time to give your ears a cleanse. We ramble on about movies. Ramble on about movies. With clever Eric and handsome Dave. Ramble on and goes away.
And good luck to all the nominees. And now, the winner, and vote please, thank you, for best introduction to a podcast / YouTube channel. And the winner is, oh, boy, ahoy, Prop Comedy, I got it. Boy, ahoy, welcome to a brand new edition of Ramble On About Movies. With me, as always, is handsome Dan Nye.
Sitting over there is clever Eric Muller, and that was
proud to be part of the Pajunkin Network.
Woo! Yes, live on the Pajunkin. I'm impressed. I know you had about 3 minutes to come up with that bit. Was that like a last minute thing, or was it like
that
something
was totally
like,
last minute.
Okay. I was waiting.
I looked over. I saw we have blank envelopes. I was like, I'm doing this. We're doing it. I'm finally getting it. It's not like it's complicated to use this setup in StreamYards, but like I feel like I'm finally getting a hang of it. So like I was even able to be like, oh, I'm gonna unmute Eric, and he's gonna come over the top with his big ahoy, and then it's just like, oh, pivot, love it, keep going. Also, one of my favorite things is I can see everyone who's here and who's backstage, so I literally just get to watch everybody dance to both videos. I tried to do my best Ted Lasso.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty well. If you're going for we already have a reference. Like I'm talking about our people backstage, and we're clearly here to talk Oscars, but it's not going to be just the two of us. Somebody's demanding somebody else come on the screen already. So I hope this isn't disappointing. So Matt's here for Manning. Everybody, this is Manning. Yeah. And he's the first time on our show. I don't know. Is it your first time on the Pajunkin Network as well?
This 100%. This is my first time on it. First off, thank you, Matt, for joining. I was told my fellow Take 3 years, hey, come on over. If you guys are going to watch it, come on over here to this and ramble on about movies with us. I'm super excited because I was telling you guys before we started, I have never been cordially invited to another podcast before. I've kind of jumped in a couple things here and there, but never cordially invited. Never a direct message from Chris Clark himself being
producer,
like, hey, yes, come and join. I'm like, okay, sure.
Well, time to pop that champagne. No, you did it.
I appreciate you guys. And as I said, anytime Oscars is mentioned, you say it 3 times and I'm there. It's like something I just want to happen and want to talk about. So I appreciate.
And I hope we did mention the Oscars 3 times in our chat. So here you are.
Also, I'm getting some love as well.
Beautiful.
Thanks, buddy. But the reason that I'm hosting today, I mean, I host the show all the time, but the reason that I'm hosting is because I have people who know a whole lot more about this range of films than I do, and we can't finish our panel today without adding long time contributor to the show, writer, cuddler extraordinaire, Nathan Quincy Zobel.
Hello, gents. Happy to be here. Happy to share 1/4 of a screen with 3/4 of better-looking humans.
How are you going to insult me like that?
I feel like in my head that was like more complimentary, but now I think like there's a reason.
Now we're all the chat is literally just going to pontificate for the next like hour and a half. Who you threw under the bus?
I feel like there's a reason I teach English and not math now.
Yeah, I was going to say math jokes do not work for you.
No, but happy to be on here. Happy to talk Oscars. Happy to see all your faces once again, all your bearded faces.
It's been a long time. We had one of the last things we did before Ramble On went dark was the community bracket, and that was a lot of fun, very stressful, and I felt like killing my children like every decision we made, where it was just like, why do I have to do? Thankfully, nothing is that like there are no stakes that high today, so that's nice.
I will say that our winner, or was it our runner up, is now not available to be seen on streaming.
I believe it's only Netflix.
Yeah, it's available on Amazon Prime.
It's on Prime. It might be on Hulu too. I think you can actually stream. It fell off Hulu. Community is no longer on there. Okay.
No, so Community's on there. I just don't know if that episode, the advanced.
I thought they only pulled it from Netflix. Anyway, that's a different discussion because we could go for a very long time about that. If you know,
it's like our title here. We ramble on.
I'm so happy you're just. I want that screen. Lovely. We're all so prop comedy, miming. I'm just saying, if you need Eric Muller to do anything on a webcam that he's got something within arm's reach, he's got it. So
we're here for you, America. Nay, exactly. The world.
Nay, the world. Nay, the internet. So I'm going to transition awkwardly to what we're here for.
Just like in high school.
Exactly. I had a lot of feelings, okay? I didn't know how to express them.
You had it all like this, and then you got your deep voice.
And then it was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to sound like. So much like we ran into, and I'll even tie it into our show more directly like last week. So when we did our top 10s of last week, Eric was very much picking over the field, and he was viewing what was up for awards consideration, and that heavily influenced his list, which Chris and I were like, no, calendar year 2020, that's it. So you'll see a little bit of that going forward while we talk Oscars this year, because they're also accepting, I think was it up through February? I think, Nate, you might know that better than me.
Yeah, they extended the window of eligibility through February. So,
gotcha.
Yes, I mean, they did lose 2 months.
Yeah, more or less, until they pivoted and figured out what worked for them. So we're definitely going to go over a wide range of things. We're going to try to cast as wide of a net as possible, but also we've discussed, and there are a few things that honestly, like the four of us, we're just not going to have strong opinions about. Like if you're going to ask us best animated short, we're probably not going to know a lot about that, or like best short form doc, maybe not. So we're going to kind of jump around. I wanted to do it, and we're going to kind of do it as it would be presented on the awards actual night. So that's going to be interesting. There's also a lot of this year, the field is already breaking a lot of ground as far as like female directors and like diversity like nominations. I think I heard that there are, out of the 20 actors in the big 4 categories, that 9 of them are actually not white people. So that's awesome. As we comment on this show a lot, as 4 white guys sit down to discuss movies.
4 white guys with facial hair.
4 white guys with facial hair. That's true.
You can't tell us apart.
4,
Sure you can.
Yeah.
Quick, everyone switch your name tag to see if people can tell the difference.
Well, that would the best would be
digital Chinese fire drill.
We talked about doing this as a joke, but like different rooms, but then somehow we all show up on each other's streams where like suddenly I'm in Eric's room and Eric's in Nate's and Nate's in Manning, and that would just mind blow at least me. But
ultimate Zoom backgrounds.
Exactly. That would be very interesting. But just thinking about like how they were able to kind of navigate this award season, and I'm curious, like they're even holding it. So it's on, I believe it was April 25th is when they're going to do it. And they're holding it in 2 separate places specifically for safety, for social distancing. And that's another thing that's going to be different, like kind of how they did it with the Globes, even though I don't personally know. I'm sure, Nate, you watched them after the fact or during, but I don't know a lot of people who actually watch the Globes.
It is hard for me to work up interest in the Golden Globes because I find their governing body without any sort of integrity. So it's like, so it's like, what are 90 drunk journalists from foreign countries going to ignore this time and give an award to whatever television show is in its first year, because they do that every time.
That Laugh Riot, The Martian for best comedy.
Well, remember there was some discussion about whether or not that they would position Promising Young Woman as a comedy.
Oh my god!
Yes. Oh no!
Yeah, they did not. But
was their reasoning? Funny people are in it, so it should be a comedy.
Their reasoning was Bo Burnham. That's it.
Dark.
That's it.
Yeah,
that would be like categorizing it as like it's a dark
underlined.
Yeah, like underlined bold, like 40 size font, and then comedies like whispered after it.
It's the kind of comedy where like you laugh just to break the tension,
Yes.
Oh yes, it's a nervous laughter because let's be honest, it's the Golden Globes. I mean, that's the Hollywood Foreign Press. What you gonna do? They have their credence, as you were saying, Nate. Their credence is very low, and all they really do is just kind of go where they feel like they get their feelers out there. They see where everything's gonna go, and then they latch on like my octopus teacher, and they're like, this is right here. This is where we're gonna go for.
I assume that's what that movie is about, and that it is about a mutant who is like part octopus, part teacher, and is helping like inner city youths get better at math.
I
see.
It was an octopus whose dream. It was an octopus who grew up in the zoo, but whose dream was to become a teacher in an inner city school.
So as someone who has seen it, I can confirm it is all that.
Yes.
So Oscar gold all the way.
That's clearly, I think we have to discuss it too, even though that movie came out, 2 years ago? It'll be fine.
Somehow there's Nazis in it too.
Well, of course. It's just like Iron Sky, I believe.
Oscar bait.
So I'm just saying, shout outs. Hey, Reef, more people are following you over here. The synergy is already working there, Manning Franks. So thank you again.
The plan is working.
We did have an actual question. As far as I can tell from what I'm seeing, it's only going to be on ABC. I don't know if they'll stream it online. So maybe as it gets closer, we'll have more information and we'll see it then.
I think that's if I may pose a quick question to you all.
Absolutely.
That's something that I have always wanted to do, and I think that in this day and age, Oscar streaming or the Golden Globe streaming, even if no one watches it, the Emmys, the Tonys, do you think that we're getting closer to like, I don't know, having these actually streamed on some sort of service since cable's dying?
I think this would be a great year to test run it, especially because that's how movies were by and large disseminated to the general public, was through some sort of streaming platform, whether it be VOD, whether it be HBO Max day and date. This would make a lot of sense. Let me put it that way. Even if they did like a premiere access, especially since it is ABC and they do own Disney Plus, and Disney Plus literally has those direct numbers of being like, hey, but you can't do it as like a Raya or a Mulan, a first run 30. But if you're saying, hey, $5 to watch the Oscars live on stream, you're probably going to have a lot of interested parties.
Well, and also all the networks are eventually going to have their own streaming service. So eventually they'll just like move it over. Like, eventually, like the Olympics are going to be on Peacock. It is a very nice suit.
I come dressed to impress.
Right. Yeah. Oscars on ABC, on ESPN Plus, they need the numbers there. It could be anything like that. Corporate synergy. But eventually it's all going to move to a streaming service. So yeah, cable will be dead. I mean, there's still going to be some people who still use satellite, to get the basics, Fox, all that. But maybe this will be the year they test it out, but at some point I think they will eventually just move everything to streaming.
I mean, I feel like they've been doing streams of like live television for years here. Now, if you're talking about like whether there's going to be an exclusivity, so like instead of going to abc.com, you can view the Oscars. It's the only way you can view the Oscars. I don't know if we'll probably ever get to that point, at least not for some time, because we have to wait for every boomer to die before terrestrial television is finally a thing of the past. But I think, especially with what this year has been, there will be more experiments with the blending of digital and streaming, and I think it will probably be going in that direction, but I don't foresee it being any time soon.
It'll be interesting. I think that's the long and the short of it. To answer your question, at least from our point of view, is I think this year forced a lot of these big production companies. It forced their hands, and it forced them to do things that they weren't necessarily prepared to do. And how you saw some flourish and some falter, where it's like, this is why we're not sitting here discussing any Quibi shorts for any Oscar nominations, because because definitely they missed the mark on that one, even though there was something stupid like $10 billion invested.
There was a movie that, depending on how you held your phone, would determine how you saw it.
You mean how it was intended versus gross?
No one tell Christopher Nolan we watch stuff on his phone. He would blow up.
Well, that's how Martin Scorsese intended us to watch movies.
Both of them. I did make a joke to a Twitter mutual earlier where they were complaining about the aspect ratio of the Snyder Cut, and I was like, I'm surprised you haven't already ported it to an iPod Classic to watch it on there, as Zack Snyder intended.
PSP all the way.
Yeah. Oh well, PSP. To be fair, probably has a really nice screen.
Oh,
Yeah, probably.
So we're here to actually talk about these Oscars, and I'll kind of pepper in some of the record-breaking things we were talking about. But let's jump in because we got a lot of ground to cover. And as the night goes on for the show, they always start off with the best supporting actor or the best actor in a supporting role. Let me actually be proper here. And so this year, who the nominees are Sacha Baron Cohen for Trial of the Chicago 7, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, Paul Raci for The Sound of Metal, and Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah. So,
who's the lead actor of that film?
All right, Eric. Who? Let's go for it. What are your thoughts?
White supremacy.
No, Jesse Pinkman woke up that day. He's like, "Wait, I'm the lead actor now."
Once he comes in
by default.
By default. Like flip a coin, like as they get on set, like, are you the lead today or am I the lead today? Like
Martin Sheen's like, I did it. I finally got the lead. It took me forever. Well, because Lakeith was being, the whole behind the scenes, the advertising, the marketing they do for the Oscars. He was listed as the lead actor. And then on the nominations, I was like, is that a typo? Is this like the Moonlight for the Oscar nominations?
Well, and that's the thing is like, and I think, again, I default a lot to Nate because Nate knows a lot more about the Oscars than I do. But what I remember is you can, as a company, as a production company, Warner Brothers can pursue, they can say for your consideration. And they've even showed it, like Lakeith Stanfield was under lead actor. However, depending on how the Academy votes for him, if they're voting for him to be more in the supporting role than he would be in the lead, then he will pop up in supporting. Am I putting that
you are completely accurate because like the guilds and the actors themselves can position themselves in categories, vote for me in supporting versus lead, whether they think it's, the more accurate representation of the role in the film, or occasionally they think I might have a better competitive chance in this category versus the other. But it is solely based upon the number of people that voted, and more people voted for him in this category than they did in lead actor. So he's nominated in supporting category. It's like a very similar happened for Kate Winslet in The Reader, because Weinstein Company was positioning her for supporting actress because they thought that she would have an easier go of collecting that Oscar, and she got nominated in lead actress, and she ended up winning for what I think is the most misguided episode of Reading Rainbow I've ever seen. But
we do allow if we had a soundboard. If we had a soundboard, I would 100% allow vomit noises when you say the Weinstein Company. So you're fine to butcher that name however you would like to. There will be no qualms from the panel. Manning, what are your thoughts on this category in general? And then I have a general question for everybody too. Kind of what we were just talking about.
I mean, after, first off, I want to say I've been championing Paul Raci ever since I saw Sound of Metal. So the fact that he got in has just made me the happiest camper. And it might be one of my favorite nominations that is, that is present. He got a critics, he got BAFTA. Well, BAFTA was weird, so we don't count BAFTA this year because of the committees. But, the fact that Paul Raci got in just makes me excited. And, Leslie Odom Jr., Daniel Kaluuya, Sacha Baron Cohen, the outsider, or the outlier, is Lakeith Stanfield. And yeah, Nate's right. I was listening to Variety, their podcast, and he was submitted and campaigned as lead. And somehow, and if you saw I can't remember what he tweeted, or he think it was on his Instagram, he was like, okay, LMAO. He did not expect this to happen. And no
he
one
woke
did.
up that day just like everyone else. He's just like, wait, what?
Just as shocked, but I'm not complaining because I think Lakeith Stanfield is someone that I've been wanting. I think, as someone who's been deserving of an Oscar nomination for a while, just in what he has done and what he is, the bit performances that he has done. He is a supporting actor, except Sorry to Bother You, which I think is a fantastic film. Go back, go see it if you haven't seen that. But yeah, I think this is a great, albeit strange for Stanfield. Overall, I think a very great, supporting actor, solid lineup right there.
Yep, great lineup.
Along your Lakeith Stanfield standing. I know the lingo the kids are using.
You sure do.
Look at us kids.
Be right back.
But along those lines, it just makes me even more amazed at the 2013 film Short Term 12.
Yes.
And how ahead of
that
its
movie
time
was.
it was. That was my number 2 movie of that year. Loved it,
Same.
loved it. Are we
Top
best
five for
friends?
me.
Oh my God. Yep.
Yep. And you had future Oscar winner Brie Larson in it. You had future Oscar winner Rami Malek in. Now you have future Oscar nominee Lakeith Stanfield, who is heartbreaking in that as a kid that's about to age out of the system. And then, of course, the director has gone on to do a Marvel movie. It is amazing, just like the level of talent in that film. And if you haven't seen it, you should see it, because everyone gives a powerhouse performance in that. Caitlin Dever is in it. Beatrice, I forget her name, from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is in it as well.
Stephanie Beard.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
It's a phenomenal movie. Lakeith Stanfield has definitely been like an up-and-coming actor for so long. I thought we'd get here, but I'm a little elated that we got here so soon, because I didn't think he was going to get nominated, because Daniel Kaluuya is the showier role. And that's what I think would give him the edge as well. He gets the big speeches. Much more of Lakeith Stanfield's is much more internalized. It's much more the weight of the guilt and his indecision of what's being pressed upon him. So it was a big surprise to see him nominated. Very happy about that. Also, I'm with you 100%, man. I was really worried that Paul Raci was not going to get nominated, especially after like SAG. And it was, like, his spot was going to be filled by Jared Leto mumbling. He walks kind of funny. That's what deserves an Oscar, right? I did not like that.
I don't
movie.
understand that. I
Did not like that movie at all.
It was a worse version of his performance in Blade Runner 2049. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, it was. He was basically the grandfather or the great-grandfather of his character in Blade Runner 2049.
So I have a quick trivia question. Nate, do you know the actor who was nominated for both Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor for the same role?
Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor. So they played the same role and they were nominated?
Yes.
I know, like, Cate Blanchett was nominated for Best Actress for playing the same character twice for Elizabeth, and that's a rarity.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna struggle with it, so just lay it on me.
Stallone?
This is from the comments, actually. So
Malcolm, nice.
Good pull. Okay, so real quick to wrap up this category, because we take 10 minutes on every category, we're going to be here all night.
I mean, it's one of the bigger ones, you know.
Sure. Yeah. But I'll go with 3 quick questions. Do you think, and I will say just because there seems to be a lot of Lakeith Stanfield and then consequently Daniel Kaluuya love, because it's both for the same movie. Do you think they split the vote and neither one of them gets it? And then also, if you had to pull someone out of this category and put someone in who might not have gotten a nomination in supporting, who would it be?
Well, I think
you can go first, man.
Okay, on your first comment or your first question, I think SAG and BAFTA will be telling. I think those will be telling us if he sweeps both of those and there's no like quote unquote splitting, or let's say that Cohen doesn't win SAG, or who the heck's nominated in BAFTA for support, or Raci wins BAFTA or something, then we would, I don't know, we might have some difference there. I think Kaluuya is the strong one at this point, and I think there's a narrative surrounding him and just the kind of making sure that movie wins an award, because they obviously love Judas and the Black Messiah. Yeah. And this is the best place to give it. So I think, unless some trickery in the sense of like there's just splitting, because the supporting races are just kind of bananas, and I can't wait till we get to actress, because that's going to be fascinating. But if I can take anyone out, now this will be really interesting, because I really, really like Sacha Baron Cohen, but his role is definitely one of the least showy. And Lakeith Stanfield internalizes, but you can kind of see it. You don't really have a lot of time with Sacha Baron Cohen. Actually, don't want to take that back, because he has a great scene near the very end in Trial of the Chicago 7. Yeah, it's not easy.
It's different because it's actually, I mean, I would say this is one of the few movies I have seen, which is why I'm hosting and only peppering in my comments. I think the reason he gets the nod is because he's literally portrayed the entire film one way, and when they put him on the stand, it's almost like a different character, and he's able to pivot where you're understanding where someone who it's like, you've been kind of a clown and you've been purposefully disruptive up to this point. And then when you have to go serious face, and it's like you watch, it's like, no, like I'm here. I'm not dicking. I'm going to still dick around and I'm going to point out what's going on wrong, but you're going to realize you've been underestimating me this entire time. Anyway, finish your thought.
No, but I said that's actually incredibly strong. I would definitely want to see, yeah, because this is such a great lineup. I wouldn't want to take anyone out, but if I had to, I would throw in Alan Kim for Minari. That's just kind of one that I think would be a really strong showing, because we haven't gotten really since Quivinjane Wallace. I don't think we've gotten a single child actor, and I think they're just as they can be just as good in my opinion. So I think Alan Kim would be someone.
Agreed.
But
Nate,
I would keep it as is.
As is. Nate, what are your answers to those same questions I just posed?
I do think Kahlua probably has the inside track, and again, keep track of how the rest of the awards shake out as far as the prognosticators. But this reminds me a little bit of 2017 or 2018, if you will, when 3 Billboards had Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell both nominated, and like, is it gonna split? And then it was like, no, Sam Rockwell got it. I think the same thing is gonna happen. It's gonna be, no, it's Daniel Kaluuya. It's the showier role. It's the more vibrant role for what it is, and I agree. I think this is the best chance it has of picking up an award. They clearly love it. It's been nominated for multiple awards. Best Picture, I think it takes it here. If I had to eliminate one person from this category, it would be Sacha Baron Cohen. To paraphrase George H.W. Bush.
Oh, God.
That is correct. I'm throwing this at you. I think he benefited from the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Dang.
It's like, oh, it's Borat, and he's doing drama, and he's fine. But even in that movie, I would have nominated Frank Langella, Mark Rylance, maybe even Eddie Redmayne over him. So I didn't think it was a bad performance, but I just thought of the one person to sneak through in the Trial of the Chicago 7, the one of the 7, although there is 7 times 7 characters in that. It would not have been him. I would have probably preferred, who would I've, you know what? Just give it to Frank Langella. Just because he was a hoot.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say
awful.
Exactly, but that it makes you feel something when you're seeing that. And I still I will whine and complain maybe until the day I die that we did not get to see his version of Freddie Mercury in the version of Bohemian Rhapsody that we deserve, that was R-rated, that was more along the lines of Rocket Man.
Yep.
And when he walked away from the project, I think we all went, uh-oh. And then everyone knows what happened there. Eric, do you have thoughts on those 3 questions I just asked?
Really quickly, I'm just going to echo a lot. I don't see them splitting. I think this is Daniel Kaluuya's to lose. If they do split, the only person I could see possibly coming in and stealing it is probably Leslie Odom Jr. Because I feel like
Dark Horse,
and also the Academy loves people who can sing their own. You can actually sing in their performances.
Jennifer Hudson,
Anne Hathaway for Les Mis. So that would be it, because his performance of A Change Is Going to Come at the very end of that movie, still gives me goosebumps. And then to echo everyone else, Sacha Baron Cohen. I mean, it's a great list, but I mean, unfortunately, someone has to play the weak man, and it would be him. And my replacement would probably be Mark Rylance from Trial of the Chicago 7, especially the scene where he's pretending to do the mock trial with Eddie Redmayne. That whole sequence.
That was one of the best in the film. I would definitely highlight that.
Real quick to bring up what Malcolm was saying here in the chat. He was saying that last year Pacino and Pesci were both in supporting role for The Irishman, and Pitt came out on top for the win, but Pitt had the momentum going in. And I also think Irishman was very front loaded. And Nate, do you know top of your head, what did they take home, if anything?
Zero Oscars. So they were nominated for like 10 or so, and they took home 0 Oscars. In fact, weird trivia fact, it was the only Best Picture nominee that year to not win an Oscar.
Really?
There you go.
That's how much they hated it.
This is also one of the reasons why I say I default to Nate a lot, because he just knows that shit off the top of his head, and I could never pull it.
Yeah,
it's a useless piece of information, and yet it's in my brain.
Hey, if you're ever on Jeopardy, you're gonna clean up that category.
That Oscars category.
Oh yeah.
In the random chance you may get it. So the next thing that would be announced in the night would be the animated feature film, or at least was announced in 2020 for the 2019 movies. And this year, the nominated movies for Best Animated Feature are Onward, Over the Moon, a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon. Just really happy I got to say that. Soul and Wolfwalkers. I've only seen 2 of these, and so somebody else who's seen more of them, give me your thoughts.
I've seen 3 of the 5.
2? Okay. What are you looking at right now, Manning? How many of those?
One.
Okay.
Shockingly enough,
this is a short discussion.
See, the thing about this is I missed Onward when it came out in theaters because that was right when things started to happen, and I never saw it on Disney Plus when it first came out because I just never got around to it. And I saw Soul because I'm gonna be honest, I think Soul's cleaning up. It's gonna be really simple. This was kind of like your stack. This was your 5 going in, kind of, save for Armageddon, which I didn't think was gonna happen because I predicted it for Golden Globes and it missed. But it got BAFTA last year, so oh well. Yeah, this is outside of Crudes. I think you take that with Farmageddon and you had like a 5. But I can't comment much because I missed out a lot of animated features this year, so I back away slightly from this one.
You're fine. I was going to say, so Eric, you've seen 3. You've seen the most out of all these. Nate, which one did you miss? Because I'm sure your 2 overlaps with Eric's and I think. So you missed one of the ones.
I have only seen the Pixar movie, so I saw Onward and Soul.
I would have thought you would have seen Wolfwalkers.
I've been meaning to. Don't shame me, but
no. Oh, I mean, by all means, shame.
No, you should probably shame me. I've watched like 150 movies from 2020.
So in the anime, real quick sidebar to ramble slightly. I missed out on seeing Judas and the Black Messiah. It left HBO Max before I could get to watch it. So wanting not to do that, we put on Tom and Jerry last night.
Oh no.
Oh no is right.
No, don't do that.
It was
you deserve better.
We watched half of it and turned it off, and we were like, there's still another 50 minutes in this. Why is this movie an hour and 40 minutes long? It was. So, Eric, you saw, I know which 3 you saw. I can call them out. You saw Onward, you saw Soul, and you saw Wolfwalkers.
I did.
And if I can put words in your mouth, I think you're going to say Soul is the front runner, but you are really holding a torch for the dark horse of Wolfwalkers.
Yeah, you just took the words out of my mouth. I think this is Soul's Oscar to lose. I don't think they will.
Yeah.
Even with another Pixar film, Soul is more aligned with what the Academy would vote for. But Wolfwalkers, yeah, I love that. It's an underrated film. It's from an Irish animation studio who I've watched their other 2 films and love those. I love their art style. I love the story of this one. But I just think it's one of those ones where the Academy is just going
to... I've heard nothing but good things about Wolfwalkers.
I appreciate that almost year after year, the best animated category has like, it's not just the best 5 commercial CGI movies.
Right.
That usually there's like something that's hand drawn or stop
claymation,
or very often foreign movies. You think about like last year and you had something as weird as I Lost My Body. Like I appreciate that. It's not just like, here's the best thing that you can put on and pacify your kids.
Right. It's literally, animation is an art form. It's a medium. We're going to give it to the 5 best that know how to use it.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see that at least a little bit changing, because for so long it was, you had a DreamWorks movie, you had a Pixar movie, you had a Disney animation movie. And like, it's good to see that occasionally you get a Leica peppered in there. And now hopefully Wolfwalkers gets that kind of drumming up of support, because like diversification is better in any field. So like you don't need the money makers and all those machines that like just keep churning out money, because they will, because there's a formula and most of the time they stick to it.
But yeah, I will fully support anyone seeing Wolfwalker. So if you got Apple TV Plus just so you can watch Cherry, get that out of your mind and just put on Wolfwalker.
Will do.
You mean Ted Lasso? I think both me and Chris, we had to bend Eric's arm for, I think it was about 2 weeks straight. He caved, and you're on your 5th rewatch of Ted Lasso?
6.
Wow.
You were welcome.
Jeez.
I feel like this is like your religion now.
Another ramble. I will
until we die. We're Richmond until we die.
So yes, it is.
I'm wearing a soccer jersey. He held up a soccer shirt, and it's one of those things. Like even for non-soccer fans, it's a warm hug in a television show. Everyone go watch Ted Lasso.
I tell everyone it is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington meets Major League Setting British soccer.
Yes.
You've won me over.
That's a perfect log line. Yes.
The showrunner Bill Lawrence as well, the man who gave us Scrubs.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I also like the fact that we just mentioned the Shame Woman earlier. She's the owner of the club.
That's why I did it. That's why I did it. Thank you, Eric. Glad you got it.
Serious?
She has a beautiful singing voice.
Oh, she's
Really?
amazing. Yeah, she's you don't recognize her. She's also in Sex Education, which is a really good Netflix show, and she's a mom to, I can't remember the character's name that she's a mom to, but she has a really good like difficult role in that movie. So as we move on, I think we can safely skip over animated short. I don't think anyone knows. Yeah, because
whatever Pixar did,
I would read them. I should probably find them
nominated.
I was going to say, has that been announced? I'm looking at the full list.
Well,
The shorts, the 5 have been, the 5 have been announced for nominations.
All right,
I don't know.
I'll read them, but then we can
one of the
quickly move on past them.
Or one of the nominees was a Pixar short.
Yes, one was. It's the best animated short film. The Disney Pixar one was called Burrow.
Oh.
One by Kazakh production called Genius Loci. One by Netflix called If Anything Happens, I Love You. One by Beasts and Natives Alike called Opera. And one by CAOZHF. Holomoy. This is clearly not an English one. And it's called Yes Dash People. So those are the best animated short films. Check them out. I haven't seen any of them. The panel hasn't seen any of them. I'm not going to shame anyone for that because we're all about positivity here.
That's right.
So the next category we're going to be talking about in the order that they were presented in 2020 about the 2019 awards would be Best Original Screenplay. So this year,
this is like your OCD thing, just masking itself. Like this is the order they would be presented.
I'm trying to be thorough. We're professionally unprofessional here is the way I like to describe it. But I mean, if someone who's nominated wants to hear their name read off, I'm happy to at least read a name on the internet. Like, the bar is pretty low here.
It's like a dry run of what the ceremony will be, only half as long.
And, with 4 dudes talking into camera, although that's probably going to happen for the Oscars too.
There's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of white people talking into the camera.
Virtual accepting, yeah. So, Best Original Screenplay, Judas and the Black Messiah by Will Burson, Shaka King. Story by Will Burson, Shaka King, Kenny Lucas, and Keith Lucas. Minari by Lee Isaac Chung. Promising Young Woman by Emerald Fennell. The Sound of Metal, screenplay by Darius Marder, Abraham Marder, story by Darius Marder and Derek C. in France. Didn't think I'd read that name there. And then Trial of the Chicago 7 by Aaron Sorkin. Duke it out. No, I'm kidding. So is there anything that was really surprising here? Anything you thought we missed? Anything that for original screenplay? Because this seems like a pretty stacked category. Like a lot of these are going to be.
I was happy that Sound of Metal did not go unnoticed.
You're in the right place, Malcolm. We're all about positivity.
That's right. Just because it is such an engrossing character study. And when we get to sound, I'll talk about why that should be a slam dunk top vote for that. I think this is going to come down to the obvious favorite would be Aaron Sorkin, because Aaron Sorkin's strength, even as a director, his strength is his words.
I thought you were literally just going to keep repeating his name. The obvious favorite is Aaron Sorkin, because Aaron Sorkin.
Well,
Aaron Sorkin.
I like to imagine myself as Aaron Sorkin as I have walk and talks in my home.
I've seen it.
Favorite pastime.
Yeah, it's a good way to burn calories.
I was gonna say, having been in your house, do you turn around a lot? Because I feel like you couldn't do a full loop.
There's a lot of pivoting, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But
there's a pathway.
He would be your traditional favorite because his movies, you want that Sorkin voice. No one can give it to you like he can, but when you watch it, it feels like you've downloaded like a syllabus, like an entire college syllabus of information. It is so much packed.
It's very dense, for sure.
People do not talk in natural rhythms, and you don't care because you want that rat-a-tat sort of highly stylized style that he has come to hone so well. So I think he's going to be your traditional sort of default favorite, but I think there could be a groundswell of support for Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman.
One of those ones on this list. I've seen two of them, and they were Promising Young Woman and Trial of Chicago 7.
And I am a big Promising Young Woman fan. Of all the Best Picture nominees, it is my favorite. It blew me away with like the gutsy decisions that it did, as well as it wears the exploitation skin and then like does something more with it. Pushes your associations and expectations into uncomfortable and challenging ways. I was just blown away by it, and it all starts on the page there as well. So I think this is one I'm going to chart as an upset. I think Promising Young Woman is going to sneak this one out, and the others are all deserving. I think Minari is very well realized. It's very natural. It's very observational. It feels very true and honest. And then Judah and the Black Messiah, there's so much tension in each scene. It plays out almost like a mob movie where he's undercover. What's going to happen? Is he going to get caught? While still being a pretty strong character piece. So, as well as something that has even more topicality today in a Black Lives Matter movement that, we're trying to get greater reforms from white supremacist elements in our law enforcement institutions. So, I think all of these are deserving, but I'm going to pick Promising Young Woman with the upset.
Do you have anything, before you wrap up real quick, do you have anything that you felt like was missed or that you would pull? I know you said you are a fan of all 5, but is there anything you felt that we missed out on in this category?
For original, I'd have to think a little bit more because these were my 5 picks. I thought this was going to be the category. Yeah. And this was one of the rare ones where I was like, 5 for 5, baby.
All right, Manning, what are your thoughts for this?
I'm gonna have to agree with Nate over there. I think this was kind of like, once you kind of think about what when you think of the 5, these are the 5, nothing too shocking, nothing too out there, because Sound of Metal was gaining momentum. Promising Young Woman had the momentum going in. Judas and the Black Messiah was like barreling down for that one, so that's all makes sense. And I guess this kind of shows that Aaron Sorkin, he's okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Did he get nominated for Steve Jobs as well too for screenplay?
So, but I'll double check.
Okay, double check that.
Screenplay, yes.
Yes.
And Molly's Game, yes.
Because he is a default at this point. I truly think he is. If Aaron Sorkin has written a screenplay that people consider good, even if it's not the best in the world, he's going to get nominated. He's going to get nominated.
What was the specific movie you were asking about?
Steve Jobs. I'm pretty sure.
No, he was not nominated for Steve Jobs.
Oh no,
no, he wasn't. Well, then I take back what I said.
He has been nominated 4 times and has won once. What do you win for?
Social Network.
Social Network, correct.
Hold on. Also nominated for Molly's Game.
And?
A Few Good Men.
No.
American President.
No.
Really?
I don't think you'll get this.
Oh, Moneyball.
There it is.
Yeah.
I forgot about Moneyball. Good movie. Anyway, but no. But Trials of Chicago 7, if it gets anything, this is the award that it's going to get, and I think this is a way to, and we'll get to director a little bit later because I have some thoughts regarding that, but I think that this is the place to reward Aaron Sorkin's movie that has been, if is anywhere, but I do like man, that Promising Young Woman is sitting right there, and that is also, and that is sitting right there, and if the Oscars want to give it anything, this is also the place, besides maybe an actress win, where it could transpire, or Minari. Like any of these could technically win, depending on how the momentum goes within the next few weeks or so.
Sure, but a little more than a month out.
Yeah, so it could change, but I think this is kind of your typical screenplay lineup. But regardless, not typical, but more along the lines of like predicted, I would say.
Expected.
But great, expected, yeah, but fantastic nonetheless.
Top of your head, anything that you feel like was missing?
For original screenplay? Oh man, original screenplay. Nothing off the top of my head at this moment that I'd be like, yes. But I do have something for adapted when we get there.
Well, which is next. But Eric, your thoughts?
I agree with my fellow good-looking bearded gentleman here, where
beard cast.
But the only way I difference is I don't think if Promising Young Woman wins, it's not an upset, because it is, to me, the best script. I mean, yes, Aaron Sorkin went to his money house for this one, but if you ask me what the best original script is, I'm going with the movie that subverted all my expectations, especially when I just read the premise and watched the trailer. I was like, oh, it's going to be this movie. And then when I watched it, It was not that movie at all. And that ending, the last 5 minutes that was the best 5 minutes.
We'll do a little bit, and we're not.
I'll give you the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, and
I'll give you 20,
30.
Will the whole movie?
But if you're going to ask me the one that could have been nominated,
okay,
I would go with Malcolm and Marie.
Gotcha. You were seeing the praises on your top 10 last week.
Yep, because it's a movie that with only 2 actors in it, and it's one of those things where it's close to 2 hours long. It doesn't feel like it. And again, I just love the basic premise of this movie. It's a guy forgets to say the right thing at the right time. And how many times have all of us in a relationship have done that same thing? And it turns, just that whole, again, it's a 2 hour movie that it just flows so well. And that's a credit to the script. So that would be my only snub, but
yeah,
everything else is just so good. I can't be mad.
Yeah. Do you know if it was nominated for anything?
Nope.
I don't believe so.
Shut out.
Okay. I was just curious.
Shame.
And we will preface, I don't think we're going to spoil anything too bad, because a lot of these movies have been around for a little bit, but something like Promising Young Woman that's really only been able to be viewed for, I think, a couple of months. We're going to do our best to kind of dance around things. And Promising Young Woman,
we won't get into specifics.
Yes, and that's one of the ones. Promising Young Woman is one of the ones I was able to go in pretty much blind, and I was so happy I went into it blind, having no expectations or anything. It was a great way to view that movie. All right, moving on to Best Adapted Screenplay.
I just one last thing. Go ahead, Nate. Remember what should be nominated in this category, and if I had to take something out, I would probably take. Sorry, Minori. I would put in Palm Springs.
There it is. Okay, we're okay with that.
It was criminally underrated.
We stand Palm Springs on this show.
We do
hard. So best adapted screenplay. Brace yourselves, because I have to read the authors for Borat's subsequent movie film. Screenplay by Sacha Baron Cohen, Anthony Hines, Dan Swimmer, Peter Barn. Wait, I should have read these beforehand. Peter Baham.
We're doing it live.
Erica Rivenoja, excuse me. Dan Mazer, Jenna Friedman, Lee Kern. Story by Sacha Baron Cohen, Anthony Hines, Dan Swimmer, and Nina Pedrad. The Father by Christopher Hampton and Florian Zeller. Nomadland by Chloe Zhao. One Night in Miami by Kent Powers. And The White Tiger by Ramtin Bahrani.
Was it Nina Pedrad on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah. No, that was Nassim.
No.
That was Nassim Pedrad.
Okay. I'm just racist.
maybe they're related.
That's true.
First.
Nope. No, that's
no, Nate, you're just having a bad day.
No, Nate, actually you're right on. That's actually Nassim Pedrad's sister.
Okay.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, well,
good job, Nate.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, she is a credited story writer on Borat 2.
Okay.
I'm just going to call it Borat 2, even though subsequent movie film's a lot of fun to say. So this seems a little bit more up in the air than the last category we discussed. Especially because... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if you know this fascinating tidbit of trivia, is that there are 2 movies where the sequels were both nominated for adapted screenplay. And one of them is The Godfathers, and the other is Borat.
Very nice.
I mean, we brought it up earlier that we were going to be talking about all these record-breaking things that the Oscars were doing. What I didn't expect was going to be like, hey, The Godfather 2, Borat 2.
They're like this. I mean, they're both stories about hardworking immigrants following the American dream.
That's right.
Yeah. Well.
Wow.
That's it. Good night, everybody.
You're welcome.
Not going to do any better.
You can't top that.
No. So, Eric, do you have strong feelings about these? I think you've seen 2 of them, 3 of them for sure.
2 of them for sure. I need to work myself up to see Borat 2, because I was around college when the first one came out, so I still need to get over that.
Yes.
My personal choice is weird only because, like, when I was watching, I was like, this would make a really good play. And to find out that One Night in Miami is actually based on a play. So I was like, I can go with that. But I feel like this is probably going to go with, like, No Man Land. That's just my gut reaction right now.
I would say your gut reaction is right.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna. I think Chloe. I believe it's Zhao is how it's pronounced, like
Yes.
a J. I think
Chloe
she's
Zhao?
going to. I think she's going to win quite a few Oscars this year. And I'll just get this out of the way because we'll be talking about Nomadland more. I thought it was fine. I know.
Lukewarm take?
Same.
You
What
did.
is this?
Didn't
Oh.
didn't hate it. Didn't love it.
Manning, we had a great friendship. I'm sorry I had
It's
to end
okay.
like
Well,
this.
I gotta go. Bye, bye, guys.
Hey, nice
It was-
meeting you.
It was a short 50 minutes. It was good to have him. We'll see you next time.
That was good.
Now
Thanks
he's
for
on the
tuning
other side of me. Okay. Whoa.
Sorry, I fixed it. I fixed it.
But I would say I think she's the odds-on favorite to win.
I was gonna say I haven't seen any of these, so this is one of those ones that I can't. So, but if you are standing Nomadland, Manning, tell us a little bit about that. Do you
Please.
think it's going to take it home?
Oh,
Or you're a big fan of this movie?
I think I'm a big fan of the movie. It's probably my favorite film of this past year, mainly because it is one that is kind of stuck in my brain the entire time since I saw it. I think I saw it like November or something. It was like at the film at Lincoln or Cinder. I keep forgetting exactly what it's called. And I jumped on the chance to see it virtually and I saw it and it just has not left my brain since I saw it. It is a movie that just feels almost like a documentary. You feel what these people are feeling. You are there with them the entire time. And Frances McDormand transports us to what her life is. And Chloe Zhao encompasses an entire feeling of middle America that I have not felt in a long time in films, and just kind of making us go into the shoes of someone we would maybe not even see or people we wouldn't even interact with on a daily basis. It is more of a feeling, a cinematic feeling that I have watching this. And I'm like, oh, wow, I got to go back and watch that. That was a great time at the theaters, my computer.
What are theaters?
But what are theaters anymore? Single tear falls down on the face. But two tears, all the tears. I think Nomadland, I would encourage you guys just to go back, watch it one more time. And of course, I understand why this is a year that hasn't been, in my opinion, the best for movies in the world, for various reasons. But I think Nomadland will look back and be like, hey, what did that do? What did that symbolize for that year? And I'm a big fan of it. And I think it has the highest chance to take it, but don't look out the father. But I'm also very excited for The White Tiger. I love The White Tiger so much. Ramin Baharani creates such a fantastic movie. I went in very blind, and it is such an intriguing, very engaging story. I won't spoil what it's completely about, but if you've just seen a single trailer, like Netflix likes to play on repeat, you'll get kind of the gist of it, but just kind of see the first few seconds and jump right into it, because I'll talk about something a bit later when we get to actors, but it is one that has left another impression on me. I just think about, I'm like, man, I want to go back and watch that. But The White Tiger is one that I'm really excited, and I'm not too shocked it made it on, because it got a WGA, it got BAFTA, and I'm like, it's going to come right along over there. And I think Borat, subsequent movie film, I'm looking forward to that not winning, but just happy to be there.
Yeah. Was there anything any of you guys felt like was really missed out in this category that they should have been nominated?
Oh, yes. And this is going to be, I'm going to be on my island, and no one is going to care, but that is okay. I mentioned it beforehand. I would love it if Emma managed to make it on here, because I am a huge Jane Austen, Louisa May Alcott. I love that type of literature, and how this translates to me as a fantastic adaptation, while not perfect, is one that I think encompasses the language and encompasses the feel and the vibe and the structure of her novels. And I would please, just, a little more than just costumes, because we know the costumes are great. Everyone knows that. But the screenplay just is that one little thing. But the problem is I wouldn't know what to kick out, because these are all really great, even though I haven't seen The Father yet, because come on, people, release it. I can't go to theaters.
Same.
And in that very relevant thing that Malcolm was suggesting, when we do the in memoriam, we do in memoriam to the current movie-going theater experience. So
the Alamo Drafthouse.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be just awful. So I believe the next category was live action short film, which they don't even tell you the production companies on Variety, but the live action short film are just 5 movies, and they are as such: Feeling Through, The Letter Room, The Present, Two Distant Strangers, and Wide Eye. So look out for those, because I, haven't heard of any of them before right now. Production design. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I think these will be a little bit quicker too. Best production design was nominated is The Father, production design by Peter Francis, set decoration by Kathy Featherstone. Next is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, production design by Mark Ricker, set decoration by Karen O'Hara and Diana Stoughton. Mank, production design by Donald Graham Burt, set decoration Jan Pascal. News of the World, production design David Crank, set decoration Elizabeth Keenan, and Nate's been waiting for this one, Tenet, production design by Nathan Coley and set decoration by Kathy Lucas. So strong. Does anyone have strong feelings about this? Does anyone think that anything else other than Mank will win it?
I'm gonna throw out a flyer here because I have seen The Father, and The Father is absolutely fantastic. It made my top 10. Very happy it got nominated as in as many categories as it did. Excited. I think the production design in The Father is the most meaningful in a way that is sneaky, that you don't suspect, but adds more layers to it. Because the whole movie is told from the point of view of a man going through Alzheimer's, and you're constantly having to visually interpret what you see. And sometimes, like, you see an actor, and sometimes then a different actor comes in, but they're supposed to be the same character, and you're trying to figure out which one of them might be real. So, or sometimes there are scenes that are out of place. It's a really worthy nominee for Best Adapted Screenplay as well from a play. But the production design, because that's the thing that gives you clues as to what the timeline is, where you are as far as the story and how it represents his fragmenting mind. So it becomes like a key element of orienting you and reflecting the character and his levels of his condition. So I think in that regard, for me, it is the most meaningful of all of them, because the rest of them are good, but they're just like, this is, an old-timey or a modern-day set for something else to happen. Whereas I think The Father is actually the one that has the most meaning tied to an artistic expression, and that's why I'm rooting for it. I don't think it'll win.
That was my next question.
It will probably be Mank, because it's old Hollywood. Yeah,
we're so cool.
I'll talk about Mank when we get to another category. But
sure. What are you talking about? It's going to be Tenet. It's the best movie ever, right now.
Well, I don't know if you knew this, but they made the sets backwards.
Wow, how'd they do that?
I don't know, but it was not worth the effort.
But how do you really feel? No, I'm just kidding.
That's my summation of Tenet as a movie. I don't know, but it wasn't worth the effort.
Well, and I don't know if
I technically own it, because I tried to rent it by accident. I clicked on own because it was the same price. I own Tenet.
I was going to say, I don't know. I want to double check and see if we're even going to talk about it again. It's nominated for 2 Oscars. So it was nominated for this and Best Achievement in Visual Effects. So we will talk about it a little bit later. But Eric Manning, any strong feelings about any of those production designs?
And Mank or Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Okay.
The Father. I've heard that I have heard The Father does something like that, and I'm excited to see that it actually translates really well. So
if it ever releases.
It's got all those Oscars now, or Oscar nominations. So now it's gonna get out there. It's got to ride that buzz.
Give me the stream. Let me stream it. Let me buy it from you for that ridiculous $20 price.
I mean, I did that for Promising Young Woman, and it was definitely worth it. So
yes, it was.
All right. So Best Costume Design. We're going to jump right back into it because Manning is very happy about this one. Emma by Alexandra Byrne. Mank, Trish Somerville. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anne Roth. Mulan, Bina Daegler, one of those two. And then Pinocchio by Massimo Cantini Parini. I think that guy's Italian.
Maybe.
So, for costume design, Manny, you talked briefly about this. I know you liked Emma a lot.
I did.
Was there anything else that like you would bring up to just a general movie-going audience, or be like, is Emma a slam dunk for you, or do you think like another one of these are like interesting and worth talking about?
Well, worth talking about.
In your opinion, it is very subjective.
Pinocchio is one worth talking about because I had it getting in makeup and hairstyling and went on a limb thinking this is weird. The makeup branch would totally go for it. I did not know the costume branch would go for it. And now I'm like, do I need to see it now? Do I need to see this one with Roberto Benigni back in it again, apparently?
Oh, he's in it?
He's in this one.
He's Geppetto.
So he goes from playing Pinocchio to being Geppetto.
Yes.
Wow. It's like the Pinocchio cinematic universe.
We've been waiting for it. We've been waiting so long.
But I think this might be Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. But because I don't think I have a hard time seeing Emma just picking this up when it only has one other Oscar nomination, unless they really love it. But I don't see that transpiring. And Ma Rainey's Black Bottom might be another place to reward it outside of just actor, which I'm pretty sure that's probably the most, what I'm probably gonna get for reasons.
Here's why it's gonna go to Emma. The Academy loves their period pieces.
Yep.
True.
Usually the costume
period
category,
pieces always wins.
The costume category is most costumes.
Yeah. Who can do, not necessarily better than most.
If you look at the track record, if there's a period piece like that, it wins. So
Are there other strong feelings about this? I don't have a lot to say about costumes.
I'm with Eric. I think you go Emma, but I could see Ma Rainey having an outside chance.
All right, I'm going to bust through documentary, feature, and short real quick, and I'll go through all 10 of them, and then we can see if anybody has something they want to discuss about it. So, because I don't know much about it. We already got a reference to one of these earlier. So, best documentary feature was Collective by Alexander Nanu and Bianca Oanana. Nope, there's only one N-A. O-A-N-A. I'm not pronouncing things well because I'm worried about speed.
It is okay.
Crip Camp by Nicole Newham, Jim Lebrecht, and Sarah Boulder. The Mole Agent by Matilde Alberti and Marcela Santabianes. I butchered that again. My Octopus Teacher by Pippa Elric, James Reed, and Craig Foster. And Time by Garrett Bradley, Lauren Domino, and Kellen Quinn. Best Documentary Short, Colette by Anthony Giacchino and Alice Doyard. Concerto is a Conversation, Ben Proudfoot and Chris Bowers. Do Not Split by Anders Hammer, and Charlotte Cook. Hunger Ward by Sky Fitzgerald and Michael Schuerman. And A Love Song for Latasha by Sophia Nali Allison and Janice Duncan. Those are a whole bunch of things I just read off. We already heard a little bit about My Octopus Teacher, but who else has strong feelings about any of the rest of these? Because I have not seen any.
Usually I have like a documentary or one or two that makes the list. And I go, yes, this is something worth your time. This is probably the first year in a long time I haven't seen any of the nominations for best documentary. So I got nothing for you.
Sure.
Well, I think this was actually a fantastic year for documentaries. Maybe
that's the other thing. I was watching other documentaries that are really good. But weren't nominated.
I had two documentaries in my top 10 this year. One of them was Dick Johnson is Dead, which I'm sad was not nominated. But the other one is Collective, which is a Romanian film. And it starts off as just kind of like an investigation into this fire at the club that's called Collective, where it gets its title from, that killed like 20 people. And you might have vaguely remembered this around like 2015. But really, it's much more, it just grows wider and wider, and it becomes a condemnation on like bureaucratic government waste and corruption, because 20 people died in the fire, but over like 50, 100 people died of infections from it just being in the hospital.
Wow.
That they should have survived. And from there, it spins out of control. It's got great access. You follow the journalists, you follow the government officials that are trying to enact change, and you see how hard it is. And I will say the last 5 minutes hit so hard, and because it's such like a depressing reflection of how hard it is to actually enact meaningful reform, not just in our country, but in the country around the world, and how easy it is to backslide. But Collective, of the ones there, I think it's great. I think Crip Camp is your feel-good documentary, which they usually go for. They go for the documentaries that make them feel happy. And that one is also produced by the Obamas. So, hey, they won last year for a documentary on Netflix. Why not 2 years in a row for a documentary on Netflix? Trump doesn't have one Oscar.
Ooh.
Oh, May.
But I'd recommend seeing all of these. They're all like, I haven't seen My Octopus Teacher or The Mole Agent, but I've heard great things about them. Time is great, especially getting into like our criminal justice system and the need for reforms with that. This is a great year of documentaries. get caught up on documentaries. Netflix has a bunch of these. Time is on Amazon. Check them out. They're great.
And that was all just features you were talking about. Do you have opinions on the shorts, or have you not seen them?
I've seen none of the shorts, and I have no idea what to win.
No worries. Manning, you talked a little bit about My Octopus Teacher. Have you seen any of the other ones?
I have not seen any of the other ones just yet. My favorite of the year so far that I've seen, Boy State, which I love Boy State so much. That was one that I really wish got on. I'm sad and it didn't, but I can't say anything until I've seen the rest of these so far. So I'm going to try to do that. But Collective is one that sounds so fascinating. And like, I need to see this now because I've seen a little bit, and now I'm just like, give me more, because now you have both this in documentary feature and we'll get into a little bit later, international feature. So I'm curious to see how that translates, or the quality of this one too. Because last year we had it with Honeyland. I did not like Honeyland. So we'll see how that turns out. But before I move on, I just want to say there is on Twitter, someone tweeted out where you can find all 5 documentary shorts viewable on YouTube. And someone found that, and I want to let everyone know where they can see that, because I was gonna try to do that before I came on, but I just didn't have time. We had tornado warnings around in our area, so I could not do that. So I know, fun times. No one got hurt though, thankfully.
Yay!
Woo! All right. So a concerto is a conversation. It's available on the New York Times Op Docs YouTube page. So it's right on YouTube. You can watch it there. Colette is available on the Guardian's YouTube page. You can watch it there. Hunger Ward is available on Pluto TV. What's Pluto TV? I don't know. Do you guys have Pluto TV?
It's like
I remember seeing a commercial for it with David Hasselhoff as a woman. It was weird.
It's like one of those free TV things where they just pump it full of ads, and imagine it as like the streaming version of Me TV or Comet.
I was thinking it was somewhere between like Hulu and Sling, where it's like they're trying to get you a free service, but like it's so watered down that all the content you're looking for won't ever really be on there.
Boo. Come on, guys. All right. And the last 2 are Do Not Split is available on Field of Vision's Vimeo. But interestingly enough, this is one of the few that is about that I think China is now trying to tell their people to downplay, because this is about the Hong Kong protests in 2019.
Oh, wow.
So that recently came out, and they've been trying to...
Sounds like an early contender for a winner right there.
Yeah, I can see that.
Look out for that. And then finally, A Love Song for Latasha is available on Netflix. So...
We do have a Pluto TV user here, Tim Franco, and also saying it's legit great.
There you go.
Then.
We rescind our bashing of Pluto because we don't know anything about it. So check out Pluto.
Seriously, the commercial with David Hasselhoff as a woman.
Objectively, a weird commercial.
So after going through some technical categories, we're back into some of the meatier ones, and the next one is Best Actress in a Supporting Role. The nominees are Maria Bakalova for Borat subsequent movie film, Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, Olivia Colman for The Father, Amanda Seyfried for Mank, and Yoo Jin Yoon for Minari. I have seen precisely none of these movies. I'm bad at my job. Somebody save me.
Wait, you get paid for this?
It's a volunteer job.
He gets
I'm bad at volunteering.
Experience.
It's community service.
It's community. Yeah, there it is.
So he's working off a debt to society. I swear to God, if Glenn Close wins her first Oscar for the "Are you a good Terminator or a bad Terminator" role, I'm gonna strangle someone.
Really glad we're doing a live stream for the Oscars this
year. So we can watch Nate strangle someone.
Got me.
Is it going to be your cat? Are you watching this with anyone else? I hope you're not watching it with your girlfriend.
Yes, that will probably happen.
Be spared.
Oh dear.
She'll be spared. Yes, I will get a special strangulation doll, just so you know.
Good.
No lines are crossed or anything. So
yeah, that can go so many ways. Continue.
Yes, of course. No, I get in one regard why Glenn Close is in this category, because she made herself frumpy and she played an old hickey lady, and
that makeup though.
Look how look how unglamorous it is. And it's just
all right.
yeah,
So before you
whatever.
get off of this, I know where you're going with it. So, and for the record, Glenn Close has been nominated 8 times for an Oscar and has yet to win. She was nominated in 83 for The World According to Garp, 84 for The Big Chill, 85 for The Natural, 3 years in a row for a supporting role.
Wow.
Leading role, 88 for Fatal Attraction, 89 for Dangerous Liaisons. Nominated again in leading role for Albert Nobbs. I don't even remember hearing about that movie.
She played Amanda Butler.
Yeah.
And then most recently nominated for The Wife.
Where
So
she should have won.
She lost out to her category peer, Olivia Colman, in a surprise.
Boy.
So,
and I think it was a surprise to literally everyone that was there, including Olivia Colman.
Yes.
Yep.
Such a delightful speech. Love her.
What a delightful human. So,
yeah.
Manning, you said you were waiting for this for reasons. So what are you thinking here?
I don't know. I don't know. And that's the beauty of it. I think that's what makes it exciting, because too long we have like stuff like, oh, this person has the momentum, or this person is winning this or that or whatnot. Supporting actress to me is literally like up in the air. Maria Bakalova is the one who's gotten everything. And she's a comedic actress who's her first performance. And it's like, are they going to go for something like that? I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see a category that is so up in the air that I'm just sitting here with my popcorn and waiting for something to happen, because we don't get that usually with the Oscars, for the big ones at least. Usually there's a front runner of some kind, and this is one where I truly don't know, and I'm just excited to see what happens. There's no one I'm like, yeah, this person. I'd rather not have Olivia Colman beat Glenn Close again. That's just going to be salt upon a wound. So I don't want that. But you know what? If Maria Bakalova won, that I really, really love Borat's subsequent movie film, because I saw, okay, confession, I watched Borat, the first one, this year. I missed it when it first came out. I saw this one and subsequent movie film back to back, and I actually love subsequent movie film more. Maybe that's because we're at this time in life.
Could be.
But I think Maria Bakalova is of excellent, and I think, you know, a comedy, someone winning for comedy would be fantastic. But at this point, I can't tell you what's going to win. Maybe I'm really bad at pronunciation.
Ms. Yoon.
You're amongst friends.
Yes, thank you. Miss YJ. We'll call her YJ.
You can ask
closer
Eric.
to
Normally I'm much
Rico
better. Like reading these is somewhat harder for me than if I've already prepped notes. Normally I'm actually pretty good at pronunciations.
Yeah, it is. I usually turn to Dane to pronounce, because I'm really bad at it too. So
Yeah.
I have no prediction though at this time, because it's just so up in the air.
I could see anyone in this category winning, including Glenn Close, which is why I'm going to have the doll.
Precaution.
But yeah, it's rare for the Academy to nominate comedic performances, which is just awful, because there's so many great comedic performances. I think Sacha Baron Cohen should have been nominated for the first Borat. So part of me wants them to give it to her, because she was fantastic. She held her own. She had to think on the spot and stay in character and improvise as that character in the most ridiculous of circumstances. I think she should win. But I could see any one of these actresses winning. And aside from Glenn Close, I wouldn't have a problem with any of them winning, because they're all excellent, respectively, in their movies. I think Amanda Seyfried is the best thing in Mank. She's the only thing that kept my attention.
Well, there you go. She's
very, very good.
And, I will say, Nate, via Glenn Close, would it be more or less of a crime than Leo winning for The Revenant instead of Wolf of Wall Street?
More.
More of a crime?
Just because it would be more of a crime for Glenn Close winning for this performance, because this performance is worse.
Okay.
Whereas Leonardo DiCaprio's performance was all right. You know, he throws.
Watch him claw his way to an Oscar.
Through the ringer. A lot of gritting.
Yes.
A lot of grunting.
Eric, how do you feel about actresses in Best Supporting Roles?
I agree with everything that's been said. Like, if you watch my social media, I even said this is the hardest category to figure out. Because any one of them could win.
But
I would have thought Jodie Foster would have won had she been nominated, and then she wasn't nominated.
So would that have been? Yeah, would that have been who you would have thrown into the mix? And here's Tim. Great point. So Glenn Close is also nominated for a Razzie for this role.
Forgot she is.
I'm trying to think. Has that ever happened before?
This is the first time it's ever happened.
I thought it's happened once before. Let me
I know
double check.
Sandra Bullock was nominated the same year for a Razzie for All About Steve, and then for The Blind Side.
Right, and she won both. But yeah, no, this is the first time that someone has been nominated for both an Oscar and a Razzie for the same performance.
It just shows you that taste is subjective.
Okay, so apparently Malcolm, which he is my co-host on the podcast. I have Gone with the Wind. He said that apparently he told me this fact 2 days ago, and now I'm like, apparently James Coco, Only When I Laugh, and Amy Irving for Yentl are the two other people who have been nominated for a Razzie and an Oscar the same year. So she is the third. Yes, it happened 2 times before. So she's the third person for that to occur.
Wow,
crazy!
It's really weird.
But does anyone else have? So Jodie Foster would have been another actress to add to the mix. Is there anybody else that we feel like could have made it in here?
I saw some with Dominic Fishback for Judas and the Black Messiah. I don't think there was enough there to put her over, and ultimately that's what held her back. I mean, I'll be honest. I think Olivia Colman has some great moments in The Father, but if you had left her off, I wouldn't have complained because it's just a smaller role. But
sure.
the heart of Minari is that grandmother and her relationship with the grandson. So that I would be sad if she had been left behind. But I got nothing for it.
Nothing else. Okay.
I'm really hoping for Mario to get it, just because I want a comedic performance to win.
That would be pretty great.
Awesome.
So this is the first time I'm going to be moving on. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on anybody's toes if they had anything really important to say. So this is the first time, I think Nate was alluding to it earlier, and I know you'll have quite a bit to say about this, but they have nixed sound editing and sound mixing. It is now one category called sound. So in the category of best sound this year, you have Greyhound, and the nominees are Warren Shaw, Michael Minkler, Bo Borders, and David Wyndham. Mank, and it's Ken Kleiss, Jeremy Malode, David Parker, Nathan Nance, and Drew Coonan. News of the World, Oliver Tarney, Michael Presswood Smith, William Miller, and John Pritchett. Soul Ren Kleiss, a little dyslexia there. Koya Elliott and David Parker, and Sound of Metal, Nicholas Becker, Jamie Basked, Michelle, there's some French names in here. Michelle Coulet-Lenk, Carlos Cortez, and Philip Blad. So this is an interesting thing. I want to point something out here. Having read all of those, I'm also noticing I feel like this happens a lot, and I feel like a lot of times when we're talking Oscars, and you guys can weigh in on this as well, you get a lot of this is where you'll see a lot of blockbusters. You'll see them in sound, you'll see them in visual effects. So this would be you'll see Avengers Endgame pop up in one of these. You'll see MCU movies or comic book movies being nominated for one of these. I find this interesting. So we didn't have any quote unquote blockbusters being released because there's no box office. So you're getting movies. I feel like, I don't even know if News of the World is nominated for more than 2 Oscars. And I think they're all technical things. So I know Nate is really pulling for Sound of Metal here, thinking it's a slam dunk. But I'm shocked Greyhound was even nominated. That I'm finding that out right now as I'm reading it out loud. But what are some other general thoughts about this category? We'll say Eric, give me your thoughts.
I was going to say, it's weird because I've always confused the mixing and editing. So it's
no more.
Weird. It's just sound now. But with all that said, I mean, it's Sound of Metal for this. I mean, hands down. It's everything they did with the sound in that film. Literally, it's in the name of the movie, and it's literally the character's purpose is to hear her again. So, Sound of Metal. I mean, this is going to be one of those ones where, it's great to see all these other movies nominated. It's going to go to Sound of Metal.
I feel like it's going to be one of those ones if we were doing a watch party, as in previous years, where it was Deakins wins for cinematography. Otherwise, we burn Nate's couch. Yep. So that's this year's equivalence.
That's fair. And you know what? That year, the couch stood.
The couch stood.
Because Deakins won. And
I went home with a full bottle of lighter fluid.
But I think sound Just give it 2 categories. It's a monumental aspect of filmmaking. Why do we have to just push it into one thing? Because like the sound design of a Sound of Metal is so much different from a Greyhound as far as what is required.
Yes.
Design and mixing, yeah.
Well, and they're all different films, which is I think
very different.
But then I also remember in the 90s when you had 2 kinds of scores as well. You had best musical score for comedies and best musical score for dramas. I said, do that again too. The different kinds of the emotions and artistic ability. But yeah, no, Sound of Metal, putting you in the shoes in a way that I have never thought about before, and how empathetic and immersive that was. That is like the best insofar as like production design. The father has the most important use of it. Again, Sound of Metal, this is the most important use of sound in any movie for the year. And for me, it's gotta be it.
I'm sorry, you were talking some of those things, and I was just getting a flashback to the Simpsons meme where it was like old man yells at son or something like that.
Cloud.
Old man yells at cloud. There it was. Manning, strong feelings about the sound category?
Yes, actually. I think that I have to agree. Sound of Metal. Sound is not just what you hear; it's what you don't hear.
Yes.
And this movie, Sound of Metal, manages to make you feel, it goes back and forth between what you can hear and what you can't hear. And then what you ultimately, I won't spoil some things, but what you hear at the end too, and how they managed to mix that all together. This would have been a great mixing as well as editing if they split those. Now, I know that the sound branch was like, hey, they were the ones who approached apparently the Academy. People were like, hey, we want this to go together because people are stupid and can't tell the difference. So blame it on the people, the thousands of people that are voting, that we don't know the difference. And I understand why they did that. If anyone else had recommended it, I'd be like, no, how dare you take this away? But until people get wiser, I think we need to provide some education about what the difference was. Because to this day, I know it, and then I forget it the next year. Right. And then I know it. And
you have to explain it every year, and they do a piss poor job of explaining it.
All you got to do is change the titles. Sound blending, sound effects. And then everyone knows what it means.
It's like, so which one is Foley? Like, whichever one uses Foley, let them know what type of that is. But anyway, so I was going to say, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and to add a little caveat onto what Nate was saying is for things you don't hear. For example, one of the movie where sound design, kind of like Sound of Metal, was so intricate and so relevant to the plot would be a movie like A Quiet Place, and that was the only Oscar it was nominated for was sound editing, because that's very much, and it's a good way to think about it, because editing is like also what you're not hearing in those moments. So it's the same kind of thing with Sound of Metal. So it would definitely, would fall into the editing if it were a previous year, but it would probably fall into both if we're going to be honest as well, like design and editing. So okay, well that seems like
one last thing on sound. I am irritated that Mank was nominated, because David Fincher, in his great homage to old movies, said, what if I just give it a shitty sound?
Let's make it mono.
What if it just sounds like there's like a humming refrigerator the entire time, and it makes it a little harder to listen? It's like, yeah.
What about that?
What? Maybe we shouldn't do that.
Hey, you didn't nominate Tenet.
Yeah, I was going to say, those were your options, Nate. And gun to your head, I think you would have nominated Mank over Tenet. So.
Well, yes, I could at least hear Mank.
All right.
He's so experimental. He makes sense.
Then we go to another big category. Finn, are you feeling needy? Do you want to help me announce cinematography? Okay, Finn, come here. Come here, buddy.
Cat looking over me right now on the show.
Finn wants to help me announce cinematography, so Finn's going to help. Okay. Do you want to read him? Oh, he's sleepy. Never mind. He didn't want to read him. So, cinematography. The best cinematography for this year is nominees are Judas and the Black Messiah, Sean Bobbitt, Mank, Eric Messerschmidt, that was fun to say, News of the World, Darius Wolski, Nomadland, Joshua James Richards, and Trial of the Chicago 7, Feed on Papa Michael. There's some fun names in there. I like it.
Great name.
So I feel like this is one of those ones that, like, when we're talking about blockbusters, you may also see like a random one pop up here. Definitely nothing like a Blade Runner 29. These movies are all like outside of maybe Mank Nomadland, which is very indie. I feel like they're like I'm trying to think about them in a vacuum, having only seen one of them, and being like, where is the? Basically, I want you guys to explain to me why your favorites are for cinematography in this category.
I'll go first. I think No Man Land's gonna win for cinematography because it did have some of the most beautiful cinematography, some of the most beautiful shots in that was in that movie. Granted, I love the artistic style of Mank because it made me think, man, this looks like LA noir, and I want David Fincher to make an LA noir movie, which would be top 10 in my list, but I understand he needs to create. But no, just No Man Land, just some of the shots, like some the one where she's like on the nature trail. I was just like, yep, that's it. This is getting an Oscar.
I feel like 20% of the shots in Nomadland are during magic hour. So like that
yes.
period. And it's a gorgeous movie. Like, again, I'm not like a huge fan of Nomadland, but give it cinematography. It's gorgeous. And what Chloe Zhao was able to put out there with, of course, the cinematography team, it's just it's always pretty to look at. Even if I'm not like emotionally engaged in the movie, it's always pretty to look at.
Cinematography, Manning, what do you feel?
Yeah, and I think that I agree. Nomadland, this is one where I think it'd be a crime almost if it didn't win. I can see Mank because I really appreciate the blocking in Mank, if that makes any sense. Like how things are structured or how they're looking or the depth of field for certain things and how they intentionally managed to do that. Well, sometimes I thought it was kind of fuzzy, maybe. And obviously I think that was a stylistic choice, and sometimes I was kind of like, not sure I feel that, but I appreciate what they were doing more so than anything else. And I think it was interesting to see how they managed to make it feel as if we were looking something from the 1940s or whatnot. I think Mank would be a nice good runner-up, but Nomadland is one. I don't know. I like Trial of the Chicago 7. I'm not. Do you guys agree that it could be like replaced in any way? Because I was never.
Yeah.
It wasn't striking in the visual cinematography.
I would also say the same thing for Judas and the Black Messiah. I think both of them are like good-looking movies, but like if something else was nominated in their place, I wouldn't be like, what?
Same.
I think Judas at least has like a really interesting color palette, at least what they're doing for. Trial of Chicago 7, what is its color palette? What is its like? It feels very flat in some
70s.
instances.
It's 70s or
my favorite color.
60s,
Protest.
actually,
Late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah. Protest.
Well, and also most of it takes place in a courtroom. So great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw an unexpected turn here. I actually think you could make an argument that Tenet is deserving of a cinematography Oscar nomination.
Yeah. I could do that.
Not necessarily. I mean, it's not a bad-looking movie, and it's got like that scope and that we've come to.
Some of the shots were great,
but just for the same reason that 1917 was nominated in the previous year, just for the Herculean effort of keeping everything in play and all of that effort. I think, if anything, the cinematography is the most laudable feature of a movie that gave me a headache. And I would not have any qualms if it was nominated. I wouldn't give it to it, but I wouldn't have any qualms if it was nominated.
Sure. So
wait, well, may I say one thing quickly?
Go for it.
Yes. So cinematography, there is one thing that I wish that, take out Chicago 7, because there is one movie that I kind of wish would made it, and it kind of has completely been forgotten about in the entire awards circuit, and that is I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I'm Thinking of Ending Things is cinematography, and this visual language is the aspect ratio. They have it in the entire time, the way that Charlie Kaufman plays with not only colors, but also just kind of the position of the camera. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but I would highly recommend just to see how he visually tells a story, because it's striking cinematography in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure it's the same person who did. Is it the person who did Cold War and Ida, if I'm not mistaken?
I believe you are correct. And also, I think for those very reasons, it could have gotten a nomination for production design as well.
You're right.
Things I mentioned for The Father, how it's a reflection of a mental state and all the little clues and thoughts that go into it. I think that is more meaningful than we made an old-timey building look like it's old.
Oh my.
Hi, Kristen. Thanks for joining us.
Kristen.
Okay, moving right along into more technical lists. The next category is film editing, which the nominees are The Father, Yorgos Laprinos, which is not the different Yorgos with a different L, who
Yorgos
I can't.
Lanthimos from
Yes,
the
who
I
have a
made
hard
the
time.
same mistake.
Yep, different guy. I have a hard time pronouncing both of their names, but no, it's a different because I clicked it out real quick just to look, and it wasn't. So, Nomadland, Chloe Zhao actually edited Nomadland. Promising Young Woman, Frederic Thorval, The Sound of Metal, Mikkel E.G. Nielsen, and Trial of the Chicago 7, Alan Baumgarten. Alan Baumgarten. Blech. I'm just gonna have word salad.
Words are hard. I know.
So
Nah.
it seems almost like a little preview of Best Picture right here. Ironic how that works.
In a way, yeah.
I feel like this is Trial of Chicago 7 to lose just because of what we talked about before with how dense Aaron Sorkin movies are.
Sheer editing,
So-
the most editing.
Exactly. This is the most edited movie. And just with the cross-cutting and everything going on,
Mhm.
the voiceover, the different levels to it.
Oh, and also blending in like the footage, like the actual
The real
news,
footage, yeah.
real footage, and then certain sequences again with the crosstalk and other things. That's a lot of editing, but I still feel like this is also another one where this could be Sound of Metal to lose.
No, it could be. I could absolutely see that. What I was going to say is that, well, this is the same branch that gave Bohemian Rhapsody the Oscar, and I'm never going to forgive them for that.
Yeah,
But they also gave it to Ford v Ferrari and Dunkirk and some of the other ones before. But like, this is really interesting uses of editing. And I think the strength of Chicago 7, outside of maybe the screenplay from Sorkin, is the editing. Honestly, the beginning specifically really had me engaged with how they managed to cut things back and forth. And obviously, I think that was one of the highlights, was how they managed to tell and set those grounds while making you retain information.
Mm-hmm.
So that could totally win. I could see that. And besides screenplay, them getting that, Nomadland could sweep, but I don't see it really getting this. If it gets it, they love Nomadland. They will have to love that movie.
No,
but Sound of Metal.
If Nomadland wins this award, Chloe Zhao is winning all the other nominations she's getting.
Oh yes, this is going to be like, well, I hope your car is empty tonight because it's going to be full of Oscars.
Here go.
Because like I'm remembering Nomadland. I don't remember like it's how do I put this? It's like there's a lot of good shots, but I don't remember like thinking like, yeah, this is some really good editing in there, because a lot of it is long takes, or it's just like they set up the shot and they just keep rolling. But when compared to like Sound of Metal or Trial of the Chicago 7, those editings are meant to really help that movie. So
I think it's that docudrama style, so it's made more naturalistic, more elegiac. I really butchered that, but regardless, I think it's going to be between Nomadland and Trial of Chicago 7.
To answer a question posed in the chat, Kristen asks if we've talked about the bullshit is the lack of horror movies nominated when they were some of the best movies released in 2020. That's probably a Nate or Manning question, because I know Eric and I aren't too into the horror films, but I know
it's just one of those genres the Academy refuses to embrace, more or less.
Yeah, it's like we talked about it briefly before you jumped on the stream, how A Quiet Place was a good example of sound editing. So they'll throw a nod occasionally there. And then, that's true. As far as Nomadland, the take would be not noticing editing makes it good editing, which is true. But then it also, like we brought up with Trial of Chicago 7, that is the most editing. Not like Transformers, where there's a cut every 0.3 seconds.
God,
but
you're gonna give me PTSD.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll
the aspect ratios.
Oh yeah, no, we won't talk about that too much. We'll save you by going back to Sorkin. But I agree with what Manning was saying earlier, because they had a lot of ground to cover just in the setup of that movie, and they had to set up why everyone's at this trial in like 10-15 minutes, and then you still have another 2 hours of movie.
Yeah.
So that was if we're going most editing, it's Trial of the Chicago 7. If you're going seamless, then it's probably Nomad. So, but it'll be interesting to see how the night plays out.
And somewhere in the middle, it's Sound of Metal.
Yeah, exactly.
Which could totally take it, possibly, at the end of the day.
I would agree normally, yes, that the idea is editing is like one of those things like score, where it's better if it's not in your face, if it doesn't if you're just immersed in it and it's keeping you immersed. But then there are also instances like you think of Thelma Schoonmaker in all of the Scorsese movies.
Yeah, literally all of them.
You see the editing right up front, but it still takes your breath away.
Well, they're not trying to hide it there. They're using it. It's because again, it's like anything we're talking about, like there's not one. This is a good example why we're talking Oscars, that there's no small people on the film set. I literally had that discussion with somebody at work the other day where like they came in and they were wearing some sort of production shirt, and like we talked to, it was Mandalorian. He was on Mandalorian season 2. I think he said his wife was like somebody on the set, and like or it was somebody else. They were trying to downplay the role they had. I'm like, no, you know, you may feel like you're not doing much, but it's a very important role you're doing, regardless of what it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So speaking of going right into the next one, the next category is best visual effects. And we have another couple of movies that I haven't talked about lately. Again, this is where you would normally see a blockbuster kind of thrown in, but we didn't get many of those. So the nominees this year are Love and Monsters, and it's Matt Sloan, Genevieve Camilleri, Matt Everett, and Brian Cox. Man, that Brian Cox is versatile. The Midnight Sky, Matthew Casimir, Christopher Lawrence, Max Solomon, and David Watkins. Mulan, Sean Faden, Anders Englunds, Seth Murray, and Steve Ingram. The One and Only Ivan, Nick Davis, Greg Fisher, Ben Jones, and Santiago Clomo Martinez. And Tenet, Andrew Jackson, David Lee, Andrew Lockie, and Scott Fisher. Somebody tell me why Tenet doesn't win this.
Monster design of Love and Monsters?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that movie.
I have seen Love and Monsters. I recommend it. It's one of my underrated movies of that year. It's a screenplay by Brian Duffield, who is like a great screenwriter, great voice. He wrote The Babysitter. He also wrote my favorite film of 2020, also directed it, Spontaneous, which will be available on Hulu next month. Please check out Spontaneous. It is a wonderful, amazing movie. But Love and Monsters, like the visual effects of these, it takes place in a post-apocalyptic setting, and like lizards and insects have grown to gargantuan sizes. And yes, Love and Monsters is great. The budget is like 20 million, like 30 million, and it does not look at all like it is that low. The monsters are that good. So I was really pleased that this snuck in there, because it is basically like an under-heralded movie.
If it was a normal year, I don't think it would have gotten it.
No, it would have been squeezed out by the bigger blockbusters.
Same thing with the Irvin movie.
I'm going to disappoint you, Dan, because I think Tenet is actually going to take this, because I think the others are good but unremarkable, and I think this is the place where the Academy can go, well, you did something different.
Yeah. That's why I was saying like somebody proved me wrong.
Run backwards. Wasn't that cinematic?
I think I've literally heard of Love and Monsters for the first time earlier today.
It's worth checking out. Dylan O'Brien does a very good comedic performance in it as well, as a leading man who chokes during not as I would do
if
Glenn Close, but just in the moment, just freezes up.
So Dylan O'Brien, if you get an invite to Nate's Oscar party, don't go.
Don't go.
I mean, we want a social distance and everything, as long as he's 6 feet away.
As though you're going to force choke him?
I'll try. But as long as I don't have Palpatine blood or Skywalker blood, I guess I'm unimportant.
Hey, we don't know. We don't know until
positivity here, Nate. Don't bring us down.
Until the third part in the installment comes out. We don't know.
J.J. Abrams brought me down. But yeah, no.
So other thoughts on visual effects, gentlemen? Good. Okay. Moving on to the next one is makeup and hairstyling. Let me find that really quick. Oh, wasn't far away. So again, for makeup and hairstyling, we have Emma, Maurice Langan, Laura Allen, Claudia Stoltz, Hillbilly Elegy, Aaron Kruger Makesh, Patricia Daney, Matthew Mungle, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Sergio Lopez Riviera, Mia Neal, Jamaica Wilson, Mank, Kimberly Spiteri, Geely Williams, Colleen LaBeouf, and Pinocchio again, Mark Coulier, Delia Colley, and Francesco Pigoretti. So these are pretty makeups and hairstylings, or challenging, or most, or there's a lot of different. I feel like this is a very wide net again that we've cast for this category.
My gut reaction is Black Rainey's
Ma Rainey.
Black Bottom.
Yeah, just for Viola Davis's transformation alone.
I could
Very
say
good.
yeah, that, or like, you know, I know Nate, again, sorry about that, Hillbilly Elegy. I could totally see them doing it because they turned her frumpy, as you
I
said.
love just
you
Nate
are
watching
correct.
like, I guess.
I remember in 2012 when Les Miserables won makeup, and it was like because they made them look sickly. So it's like usually the bigger makeups don't get the Oscar nomination. It's the one where it's like you just made pretty people look less pretty.
Do I need to look and see if Monster won? Because you keep bringing that up, and I keep thinking of Charlize Theron in Monster.
If they did not win in 2003, they should have won. That is a transformative makeup and performance.
I think it did, but I could be wrong. But I was going to say, it's like, this is Pinocchio. Pinocchio showed up twice. Pinocchio, this movie that no one has ever heard of, managed to get 2 Oscar nominations. Now, again, I'm just going to translate how much I just desperately want to see this movie and see what the heck is going on.
I could see it winning.
I can see it.
It's a fantasy film.
I just pulled up some pictures. Yeah.
Nate, it was not nominated for makeup.
That is a shame.
There was only 2 nominees that year.
It probably lost to Lord of the Rings, because I think 2003 was the Return of the King.
It might have been. Let's see if I can get there kind of quickly.
No, Master and Commander, did that win or anything?
No. So best makeup, there were 3.
Okay.
I found it. Winner was Return of the King, and the other 2 nominees were Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, and Master and Commander, Far Side of the World.
I love that movie.
So I think in order to qualify for this category, you had to have at least 9 words in your title, and Monster sadly did not.
You
had to have a boat too, apparently,
and at least one boat.
One of those like old timey boats with a sail. I think that's how it had to go.
So going from makeup and hairstyling, the next is Best International Feature Film.
Used to be foreign film.
Yeah, international. Well, so kudos on the slight progression there, Academy.
Yep, agreed.
This year, the nominees are Another Round from Denmark, Better Days from Hong Kong, Collective, nominated in both documentary and Best International Feature Film, from Romania, like Nate said, The Man Who Sold His Skin from Tunisia, and Kuvadis Adia from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I pronounced the last part of that country wrong. Herzegovina. Maybe. It might be right. I'm close.
Just Bosnia. It's good.
Yes. Well, it's 2 they're technically together. So does anyone you've seen Collective? Anyone seen any of the other movies?
I saw Another Round last night.
Wow. Okay. Oh, I remember. I just saw about this and it's the one with Mads Mikkelsen.
Yep. And he has a great dance sequence at the end.
I've seen that.
Move over, Joker dancing. You're getting replaced by Mad Dancing.
They were talking about him possibly as a dark horse for Best Actor nomination.
Herzegovina. Thank you, Kristen. Herzegovina. Oh, and so I guess Kristen's seen this movie, so that's a lot of fun.
Oh, I gotta see this.
It's the basic premise is 4 friends decide to test a science theory that if you have a blood alcohol level of 0.5, you'll be more productive at your job. And they're 4 teachers. So they decide to test this theory. And also, I need to learn about how they do things in Denmark with their schooling because I was very confused.
That's interesting.
But I'm not going to spoil it because, like I said, I just saw it. It just got on Hulu. I saw it last night. But Mads Mikkelsen is fantastic, and it's a solid film. I can see why it got nominated for Best Director because of how he handled the premise of this. But again, I haven't seen the other ones. But so, of course, obviously, I'm going to say Another Round for Best International Film, but it could be Collective. You never know.
I think the fact
they can nominate Parasite again.
Oh, that would be good. Just every year, Parasite wins for the 18th year in a row.
They eventually name the category after it, and this is the Best International Parasite film.
Until someone can
right. You get to this level.
It's like wrestling. You got to take out the champ.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think the fact that Another Round is nominated for director already instantly elevates it into the front runner position.
But yeah, it's on Hulu if you haven't watched it.
And I was going to say we'll be getting to that shortly. So
yes.
Good on international film.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
Yes.
Next category is Best Original Score. And the nominees are The Five Bloods, Terrence Blanchard, Mank, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, Minari, Emil Mossari, News of the World, James Newton Howard, and Soul, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross again, this time with John Baptiste.
This is Souls to lose. I mean,
I was going to say there's a 40% chance we get Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross Oscars.
Again.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
This is ironic because this is the one Oscar To Five Bloods managed to get, and I was not expecting this one at all.
And also, I think this is like one of the first ones that was announced when they announced the Oscar. So I was like, oh,
what's gonna happen?
And then when it didn't happen, want to throw my laptop across the room and storm out. And then my wife's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "You don't understand."
Well, we can let's save the rage for the next couple of categories.
Oh, that'll come in actor.
Yes, that's gonna arrive. But I mean, so there's literally a 40% chance that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross add a second Oscar. Because could you have gone back in the time machine to 30 years ago and said, "Hey, this guy who wants to fuck you like an animal is going to win an Oscar someday"? Would you have believed future you?
And an Oscar for a Disney movie. An animated film.
Well, no, he's nominated now. He's won one, but it wasn't for a Disney movie.
But we're all assuming Soul's going to win because it's the best score.
When I heard that score the first time, it stood out to me, and I listened to it again, and I felt like it added so much to that movie as far as just like the flavor of it and the ethereal quality.
Also, I'm happy John Baptiste is going to get recognized because he's a very talented musician, especially
very much so.
The way he plays the piano is just amazing.
Well, and I was not a fan of the scores that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross had developed for Gone Girl and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It's like, oh, it's all ominous noise. And then this year it's like, oh, we're gonna show you our range. Here's an old timey score. Here's a children's movie.
I think this
year's a jazz.
Yeah.
They sent out this year to prove you wrong, Nate. They heard
your critique. Good. I was gonna say, just you reminded me of when Jason, I can't pull his last name, but in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, the main character, that was his entire job was ominous tones in the CSI type show.
Crime scene
of the crime. Yep.
One of the better jokes that's just so subtle in that movie.
Yeah.
I would also say special shout out. The Minari score is so luscious and wonderful. It's so good.
Very
it's
subtle.
So heartwarming. It's really good to just listen to. It'll pick up your day. Give it a listen. And also happy that The Midnight Sky didn't get a score nomination because I don't know what people were thinking when they kept saying, "Oh, this is one of the best scores." I was like, did we watch the same movie? Because this score was in my face and angry. And it made me angry. Oh, that movie made me angry. The stupid twist ending made me angry.
There you go. Well, I'm glad we're not talking about it in that case.
No.
So, moving on to Best Original Song. The nominees are Fight For You from Judas and the Black Messiah, music by H.E.R. and Ernst Emil II, lyrics by H.E.R. and Tiara Thomas. Hear My Voice from Trial of the Chicago 7, music by Daniel Pemberton, lyrics by Daniel Pemberton and Celeste Waite. Husavik from Eurovision Song Contest, music and lyrics by Sevan Kocha, Fat Max Gissis, and Rickard Goranson.
Pretty good, yeah.
IOC in parentheses scene from The Life Ahead, music by Diane Warren, lyrics by Diane Warren and Paula Pacini, and Speak Now from One Night in Miami, music and lyrics by Leslie Odom Jr. and Sam Ashworth. I've seen two of these movies. One of them was Eurovision.
I would love for that one to win. I honestly would. It's a
pull
good
like
song.
a Man or Muppet where it's like, oh wow, this won that year.
Yeah, well, Man or Muppet deserved it.
It did deserve it.
Come on.
I think it's probably going to go to either Fight For You or Speak Now, but coin toss.
Speak Now. Leslie Odom Jr., it's your way to reward the movie.
Thanks, Kristen.
Yeah.
Yes!
Ding dong.
No.
Ding dong.
Okay. What about one of the songs from Barb and Star, Go to Vista Del Mar?
I forgot that was a movie.
I still need.
I
to
forgot that accounts for the Oscars this year.
It's on my list of things to see.
Super pleasant, silly movie. I definitely recommend it.
Oh, would you have nominated Richard Cheese?
Of course.
Okay, I was just checking.
What I was going to quickly add first is that EOC Scene Live Ahead. I actually did not expect that to win the Golden Globe, and it won the Golden Globe. This could be the year. For those who don't know, Diane Warren is a big deal when it comes to the Oscars. She has been nominated for like, off the top of my head,
I'll pull it up.
It's like a dozen times or something.
At least a dozen times, and she has not yet to win one. And maybe, just maybe, because there is no single song, that there is no Let It Go this year. There's nothing that's just like overtaking the airwaves. This could be the year she finally gets an Oscar.
All right,
if they know what she's talking about. Oh yes, what is
Diane Warren has been nominated for 12 Oscars, and she was nominated as such. 88 nominated for Mannequin, 97 nominated for Up Close and Personal, 98 nominated for Con Air, 99 nominated for Armageddon, 2000 nominated for Music of the Heart, 2002 nominated for Pearl Harbor, 2015 nominated for Beyond the Lights, 2016 nominated for The Hunting Ground, 2018 nominated for Marshall, 2019 nominated for RBG, 2020 nominated for Breakthrough.
She is
kind of surprised so many of those are recent.
Yeah, a lot of they're literally all recent. Like there's a little bit of a jump from like 88 to then 97, 98, 99, 2000,
Well,
2002.
I remember the mid-90s ones because that's like she had like the love song to all the big action films, Con Air and Armageddon.
Like that she was and still is a staple. Obviously there's no big Armageddon, song going around there, but this could be the year they're finally like, hey, we know Diane Warren. We've seen your name so many times when we vote, but let's give it to you. It's a possibility, but you're right. This could easily be like, this could easily be like One Night in Miami or something.
She has
the Deacons year. Finally, we're rewarding this person that we just keep nominating.
Honestly,
they're going to do that for Glenn Close.
She has one of the biggest IMDb's I've ever seen. Like this is
oh wow,
it's insane. I can't even
rivals Eric
Diane Warren.
It's insane how like I've been scrolling basically the whole time you were talking, and since we haven't, I'm only to the 2000s, just scrolling straight down. She started her career. She's been working steadily since 1984.
That sounds nice.
So yeah, I'm now convinced. I think it's going to be let's reward Diane Warren.
Let's put it this way. It took me to scroll that long because her soundtrack credit, and not to mention she has other credits for composer, music department, writer, producer, actress, self. The soundtrack alone, 359 credits.
That's a lot of credits.
So this could be her Deacons year. That's the only thing that I think could throw a monkey. Like again, this is you have a right to be outraged, Kristen, that she didn't win for the cinematic classic Con Air. She was all about those power ballads in the 90s. So that was best original song. Moving on now. Okay, we're getting to the big four.
We're getting to the biggies here.
Here it comes. I like how we're almost 2 hours into the show and we're getting into the ones that are
just like the Oscars themselves.
I told you it's the ceremony, but cut in half.
Kind of, yeah, that's where we are. So this one is for Best Director.
All right.
Nominees are Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round, David Fincher for Mank, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, and Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. Where do we go from here? I'm going to start with Manning this time.
Okay, so this is one of the most interesting because we rarely get the DGA 5. We have almost never gotten it, say for like a couple times earlier before, I believe, like this decade. I don't think we've gotten it. The decade just started, but you know what I mean. One prior to that,
this century.
Yeah, exactly, not this century. I think it was like 2009 or something. The last time that happened, and I knew someone was gonna miss. I did not know. I thought it might be Aaron Sorkin because one of my panelists, Abe, said he is a writer before he is a director. Correct. And there is a way they could easily have been like, good job, Aaron. We're not going to give it to you.
Not this year.
Not that year, because it happened for Bradley Cooper when A Star Is Born occurred. He's an actor first, and then he missed for directing for A Star Is Born when that movie was like picking up steam. And obviously, it's not a apt comparison completely, but when someone's in their lane, think of Ben Affleck as well too when that occurred. When someone is in their lane, they can completely miss it if they're trying to break through that. People like Jordan Peele that year, he was not the biggest known commodity, but then he came on and kind of went in both areas. But it's something that I think is interesting. Also, a really cool stat is that look at Cold War. Cold War got BAFTA for Best Directing, and nothing else, nothing DGA, and then it managed to sneak in for a lone Best Director nomination. Another foreign language film. Same thing happened to another round this year. So now with this expanding Oscar voting pool, I am more than expecting us to get something like this with, foreign directors possibly making it in after they get a BAFTA or something, because I think we're getting, because now that they're opening up to a larger amount of people, something like this isn't going to be too shocking. I think this is Chloe Zhao's to lose at this point. I could be wrong, but knocking on wood, that's what we're going to have, and put in your predictions. But everyone else is excited to be there. And I think it's historic regardless, the fact that we have 2 women in directing for the first time. Huge. The fact that it took this long to happen, still questionable, but the fact that it has occurred nonetheless is something I think we need to champion, and we have championed. I feel like all over Twitter you can see people being like, thank you, this has finally happened for 2 deserving movies, in my opinion, nonetheless.
So to throw out a little stat, just to jump in here, it was a record nomination for women period this year, where the 93rd Academy Awards saw 70 women receive 76 nominations, a record for any given year. So period, just that big. And then female directors obviously breaking the record for most nominations in 1 year. So
I believe there was only 5 before this.
5 female directors nominated.
5 women nominated for Best Director before this year.
Were 2 of them oh god.
I believe it was Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, Catherine Bigelow, who's the only winner, for Hurt Locker, Sofia Coppola for Lost in Translation. I want to say Jane Campion for The Piano, and then like a woman from in the 1970s for like a foreign film.
Sounds about right.
You're gonna test me now. I feel like that's what.
All right, I'm pretty sure I can pull this up quickly.
The fact that until this moment we only had 5 women nominated for Best Director is just embarrassing. So let's have multiple women. Our first person of color that's a woman nominated for Best Director. You have Lee Isaac Chung nominated, especially with how observational and wonderful and heartfelt that movie is, pulled from his own life story. It feels very authentic. The same reason that I thought Greta Gerwig was such a deserving nominee for Lady Bird, because it's very much that autobiographical sort of detail that puts it in there, that gives it that authenticity. But I would agree with Manny. This is Chloe Zhao's to lose. I had to pause there for a second just for pronunciation. It's hers to lose.
What were the names you rattled off to me? I think I heard 3 of them. Greta Gerwig, Catherine Bigelow, Sofia Coppola. Who was the 4th?
Jane Campion for The Piano.
Correct.
And then there was like from the 1970s. There was it was like for a foreign film.
Correct. The name you could not pull was Lena Wertmuller.
Ah, there we go. I gotta renew my Wertmuller subscription. I guess.
But I'm trying to see. I wanted to see what she directed. No, it doesn't say. That's annoying.
I believe it's like a World War II like comedy type thing. Like it had a lot of tonal shifts to it.
Oh, okay, it was 7 Beauties. Sorry, it took a little bit more digging to find it, but I did.
But I'm very happy that Emerald Fennell got nominated for Promising Young Woman. Again, my favorite movie of the ones nominated, but also just the
balance. Holy shit.
The tonal balance, but also it's such a specific artistic vision that is so not just gutsy, but like very specifically and deliberately well realized. There's so many ways that movie could go wrong.
Yes.
And the fact that it at least for me, it doesn't, and where it goes, I'm so happy that she was nominated.
Well, and this is where we begin our heaping praise of Promising Young Woman, because there are to like, and when I was watching it, I was thinking like the amount of tension that this movie is able to create made me feel like I was watching Uncut Gems, but in a different way. Like it's that kind of like anxiety that you can feel building up watching this movie. And like the amount, like the fact that it carries through, but it definitely ebbs and flows, and it takes you on a large roller coaster and of a lot of well-known faces too. Like the fact that they got a lot of people that you know in this movie and how they basically execute the entire thing, it's astonishing. And I think the directing, like you were saying, Nate, that has a lot to do with it. Other thoughts? Best director, Eric. Where are you at for this?
Oh, it's Chloe's to lose. I mean, there's no Land's going to win this. The only snub, of course, would be Spike Lee for The Five Bloods.
Mm-hmm. So as we begin our Promising Young Woman praise, we are also going to begin our fist shaking at lack of The Five Bloods in many a category in the next 4 that we're going to be talking about. Any other thoughts on Best Director? Good. All right. So I think the next big one we're talking about is Actor in a Leading Role. And these nominees are Riz Ahmed for The Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Gary Oldman for Mank, and Stephen Yeun for Minari. What a year. Holy shit.
Can we agree that there's like 2 tiers here? And the top tier is Riz Ahmed, Chadwick Boseman, Anthony Hopkins, and then the others are a little bit below.
We could. I haven't seen enough to make that call.
I was going to say I haven't seen The Father, so I can't agree.
I'm more than likely going to agree about The Father because Anthony Hopkins, when he gives it his 100%, he gives it.
Are you trying to say he wasn't good in Transformers 5?
Oh, no, that's one of the good ones. Other than that,
okay.
of course.
Well, of all the girls I've ever served, you were the coolest.
Is that a line in the movie?
That is a line in that movie.
It is a real line in the movie.
The robot says that after he dies.
Oh, no.
His robot butler.
Why'd you have to bring that up? Anyway, back to more fun and pleasant movies to talk about. Is this, and I'll say this somewhat callously, is this Chadwick's to lose since it's a posthumous award?
Definitely.
90% chance, yes. The other 10% is if BAFTA decides, let's just give it to Hopkins or something.
Right.
I mean, if any of those top 3 won, I would be like, I could see why. Because Anthony Hopkins is he's more vulnerable in that role than you have ever seen him before. It's so heartbreaking. He is excellent. He would be a worthy winner. Riz Ahmed and the journey that character goes on, and just all of the feelings of frustration and anger and helplessness. Again, wonderful performance. But for me, I gotta go Chadwick Boseman because he saved the best for last. He puts it all on the field with this performance.
Yes, he does.
Spellbinding. Even if you don't want to ever watch Ma Rainey, and you should. It was on my top 10. I loved it. I love August Wilson as a playwright, though. Just the way he writes characters and ensembles is just so well done and textured and characterized. But Chadwick Boseman, he is the reason every person should watch this movie, regardless of whatever they think about anything else. They should watch this for Chadwick Boseman. He left us too soon. If he's knocking down performances like this, oh my God, what could have been?
So there are a few things of note to mention in this category. Anthony Hopkins now becomes the oldest Best Actor nominee ever at 83. There is also they're tied for the oldest nominated individual, which is Anne Roth, who was nominated for costume designer for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom at 89.
Wow.
Yeah, and then of course you're also getting, Stephen Yeun for first Asian American nominated for Best Actor as well. The article I brought up also mentioned that you have Riz Ahmed being a Muslim, first Muslim actor being nominated. I think for Best Actor, Mahershala Ali won for supporting. So that was the caveat there.
Well, I think most of the acting categories this year are actually like majority minority, if you will, white acting nominees. Like in this,
they were. I think it was 9 out of 20 of the.
Well,
big
I think
four.
just by looking at the categories, just like in this one, you have Stephen Yeun, Chadwick Boseman, Riz Ahmed. That's a majority not white. I think that's great. I love the
diversity. Yeah.
There's always been great diverse performances. It's just much like comedy, or as someone said earlier, horror. There's so many obstacles that they have to go through this check and this check in order to get that kind of attention or that kind of recognition. And I think we're by opening up the field of voters, especially getting a younger, more diverse voting base that they've been trying to do in the answer to the Oscars so white controversy, you are now breaking down some of those barriers. So you are seeing stuff like Get Out get nominated for Best Film. You are seeing something like Parasite win top awards. So I think this only is a better reflection of not just the diversity in the film industry, but the diversity that has been ignored as far as accolades so far in the film industry.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Chadwick is the third best performance I saw. Riz is the second best, and of course, the first goes to the guy who should have been here. Sorry, Gary Oldman, get your ass out of bed. You don't belong in here. It should have gone to Delroy Lindo.
Yeah, I would easily kick Gary Oldman out of this category as well.
Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. I love Gary Oldman. He holds his own.
Yeah, I do too, but
not his best performance.
This is not his best performance.
No, Delroy Lindo was robbed of a nomination. When I saw that over the summer, I said, "There's no way that this is going to get nominated."
Right. I remember texting you, Nate. Like me, we're like, "There's no way he's not going to get nominated for this." It was
so spellbinding. So there's such pain with that character, and I love the Five Bloods too. That was in my top 10. I know it was in your top 10, Eric. I just the lack of recognition this year for The Five Bloods just blows me away, and I think maybe part of it is just because it came out too soon.
Probably.
It was over the summer. It was forgotten about, especially with an extended sort of voting period of an extra couple months. And also maybe it just didn't quite compare to Black Klansman, but I thought Black Klansman was excellent too. Why punish one very good movie? Because it's not just the excellent movie from 2 years prior.
And I remember when people saw The Five Bloods, were like, oh, you could put this down on your list. It was going to be a big one, and people were predicting it, and then suddenly it just started to die a slow, agonizing death when it came to the nominations. It's like it got ensemble, at least in SAG, and maybe thought that would give it a resurgence, but that maybe saw people, oh, let's go look at this movie again, let's see it, but nothing in BAFTA, and then it got score out of everything. But I'm not someone who was like, yes, I love The Five Bloods. I think it's really, really good. But Delroy Lindo is someone who I'm just like, why is he not talked about more? Because he was easily, to me, the best part about that film. Yes. I felt his pain. But I will also want to highlight something that the BAFTAs did, and I mentioned this a little bit ago. For those who have seen White Tiger, Adarsh Guav, I can't pronounce his last name, but Adarsh Guar. I'm sorry, but he is the main star in White Tiger, and he's someone he got BAFTA. I would love for him to get maybe an Oscar, but the problem is, who do you take out if not Gary Oldman? Because
right.
But that's the only one.
You're not taking Anthony Hopkins out of here. You're not taking Stephen Wynn, and it's Chadwick and Riz. No, you're not taking them out either. So it's you give up Gary Oldman, you can only fit in one more. And
I would try to say Adash
Guav, thank you.
Gaurav. There's an R in there.
Gaurav. I'm not good at pronunciations.
I'm okay sometimes.
You're better than me, Dan.
Yep.
I would have been fine if you had taken Stephen Yeun out. He was good, but all right.
So I think that wraps up the best actor. So two more.
Yeah. Well, the big one, and then best actress.
So
I thought best actress was the big one.
There you go. So best actress in
Women's History Month.
Ladies.
Pandering.
Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Andra Day for The United States versus Billie Holiday. Vanessa Kirby, Pieces of a Woman. Frances McDormand, Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. This is also, before we get too far into it, Viola Davis officially becomes the most nominated Black actress in Oscars history.
Yay.
She is now up to 4 nominations. So, I mean, clearly she deserves it. She's amazing in pretty much everything she does.
Yeah.
So, if I can go quickly, I think she won for Fences. I don't think she's won for anything else. Nope.
She was nominated for Doubt and The Help, and she won for Fences.
Yep.
Should have won for The Help.
I agree, especially over Meryl as the Iron Lady.
Oh God.
So all of those being said, who takes it? Who's missing? What are your thoughts here? Does Frances McDormand get another one?
Okay, so for me, who's missing? Zendaya for Malcolm and Marie. I will again preach that movie. Who should win is probably Carrie, but I think it's going to go to Frances. Look, she shit in a bucket. I mean,
pooped in a bucket.
Pooped in a bucket.
That's the bar.
Look, it's like
I could do that. Where's my Oscar?
It's like The Revenant.
I do that every day.
I'm doing it right
now. It may
now.
not be her best performance, but it's the one that she's going to win for. I mean, I think Carey Mulligan deserves it, but I think it's one of those things where No Man Land's going to take a lot of awards, and this is going to be one of them.
Was anyone really shocked to see Andra Day or Vanessa Kirby on here?
No, because I am one of the few I know that actually watched The United States versus Billie Holiday, and she was the best part of a movie that had a horrible script.
Ooh.
I would say the same thing about Pieces of a Woman.
Oof.
Well, it had Shia LaBeouf, and if anyone knows me, I only allow myself to see one Shia LaBeouf movie, and
per year.
Well, I saw 2 the previous year, so I was like, I can't see one for 2020.
You overextended yourself.
I overextended myself.
Oh no,
I'm in Shia debt. That's what it is. I have to make that up. I can see Frances McDormand winning, getting her 3rd Oscar, joining the ranks of Meryl Streep and Katharine Hepburn. But I think her part in that movie is going to be the most easy to overlook. Because to me, like, that movie could be subtitled, Frances McDormand does all the jobs. And she's very good. But I think the real magic of that movie, when it happens, again, for me, I liked it, didn't love it, is when it, like, kind of cedes the spotlight to these ordinary people who have, like, these little monologues. It feels like there's, like a little halo on them, and just, like, this little natural, beautiful moment of them talking about themselves. So to me, it's almost like she's a walking NPR microphone, like looking for someone like, here you go. What's your story? So I could see her being overlooked. And I think there's going to be a momentum and a build for Carey Mulligan and what she does in that movie and what that movie does to her as well.
Yeah.
And so I want to pull for Carey Mulligan. I think maybe Andra Day has an outside chance just because the Academy loves people playing, real life people, and she does, sing in it as Billie Holiday, so it's a possibility. I think Vanessa Kirby is thanks for playing. I didn't like the movie. The whole half-hour home birth tracking shot was more like, oh, you did it. Good.
I loved it.
You love that movie? Oh, man.
I love that. Well, I don't love it. I love her performance in it. I think it's a very, very good movie, but I love her and what she does and the grief that she goes through and how she translates that. As someone who has lost family before, seeing that numbness in the way that people interact with that, I think that was very well done. It wasn't the best directed film, and I don't think it was the best written film, but I think what her performance is something that I really encourage people to see, because when I saw that, I'm like, that is something I've seen before. That is definitely something I've seen before, and I can see that translated so beautifully well. Some of the things, I'm like, we can cut some other stuff out, but overall, Vanessa Kirby, I mean, hopefully when it comes to all of this, Carey Mulligan is the one I want to see coming up on that stage and winning that Oscar for her first Oscar. Let's just her first, because Frances McDormand, that'd be her 3rd. Viola Davis, that'd be her 2nd. I have trouble. I have trouble seeing them giving another Oscar to Frances McDormand, mainly because you have these other deserving actors that are right here, and this is still kind of up in the air. Yes, Frances McDormand has a BAFTA and SAG nomination. but she doesn't have the Golden Globe win. Andra Day currently has the momentum, but she wasn't nominated for SAG or BAFTA, so it's kind of like who has what, and we don't know, because the only people that were actually nominated and everything was Vanessa Kirby and Frances McDormand, and Vanessa Kirby ain't winning, and Frances McDormand may or may not win, depending on how much they love Nomad. I'm just curious right now to see if that love for Promising Young Woman can translate over to Carey Mulligan as well, so we can have at least one Oscar that the movie walks away from.
I think you could, especially to make an argument for that, because that movie does not, with the layers that she's playing, that movie doesn't work. Like you
I remember there was a critic who said Margot Robbie should have been the lead. She produced it. I'm like, no, it would be a completely different film if Margot Robbie was lead. It had to be Carey Mulligan. She had to be the lead in this, and that's why I would love for her. Like, she's the one who I want to see win.
Yeah.
Will she? I don't know, because we got to see how the rest of the awards go out. But she's the one. I'm like, yes, this is an Oscar performance, because you could take any scene from that movie, because you always talk about like the Oscar moments. Mm-hmm. She has tons of those. You could just have the sequence where she's watching that video and it's just her facial reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
That alone just gives her the Oscar.
Yeah.
Or you could shit in a bucket. I mean,
those are your only options.
I really hope that is Frances McDormand's Oscar clip.
Yes. No, it's probably going to be her working at Amazon, because she's happy working there. From what I'm told, that is not accurate.
No.
That is acting.
There you go.
Maybe it'll be like when Rami Malek won and they used the clip of him lip syncing at the piano. It was like all the clips to showcase his acting used the lip sync. Not even like during the Live Aid performance.
Was there anything you guys felt like that was missed? Any big performances?
Like I said, just Zendaya for Malcolm and Marie.
Gotcha.
I feel like Catherine Langford is greatly under-regarded for my top film, Spontaneous. Gives a wonderful, committed performance in that. Lots of personality. Just holds your attention. But again, see that movie, Spontaneous.
Gotcha. So here it is. We've made it all the way through the Oscars. We're over 2 hours and 15 minutes into it. So the Best Picture nominees are, and the names I'm going to say after the title are going to be the producers. That way I don't have to keep saying producers. The Father, David Parfit, Jean-Louis Levy, and Philip Carsaconi.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Judas and the Black Messiah, Shaka King, Charles D. King, and Ryan Coogler. Also, the first time an entirely black producing team has been nominated for Best Picture. Fun fact. Mank, Sion Chaffin, Eric Roth, and Douglas Urbanski. Minari, Christina O. Nomadland, Frances McDormand, Peter Spears, Molly Asher, Dan Javy, and Chloe Zhao. Promising Young Woman, Ben Browning, Ashley Fox, Emerald Fennell, and Josie McNamara. The Sound of Metal, Brett Hammond-Link and Sasha Ben Haroch. And The Trial of the Chicago 7, Mark Platt and Stuart Besser. There it is. Those are the 8. And I think next year they're doing a hard 10. Do I remember hearing that correctly?
It's going back to 10. Yeah, it used to like fluctuate, so it could technically be anywhere between 5 and 10, but it seems like it's always been 8 or 9.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always.
But they're doing a hard 10, right? Like they have to.
I believe they're doing a reset. Yeah, for a hard 10.
Yeah.
Like some new rules they're kicking in.
Mm-hmm. So this will be the last time we're going to see one of these weird outlier years. So we got 8 movies. And I know a lot of times we've been talking about this and we've been saying what has momentum going into the night and like what has momentum night of that we're seeing more awards rolling out for. Do we think there was anything missed? Do we think there are a lot of things on here that don't have a snowball's chance in hell? And yeah, where do we go? How does this night end? Well, I know you're all like me where you were looking at the list too.
Well, if looking for stuff that didn't make it, I mean, like things like Palm Springs come to mind. Some of our favorite films. Ones that don't have a chance would probably be like Trial of the Chicago 7 and The Father. And probably Judas and the Black Messiah, even though they all really like it. I think this is probably a 3-horse race with No Man's Land being like the favorite. And then you have your choice of the Mank, Minari, Promising Young Woman, or Sound of Metal being the other two, like two of those four. Me, I don't know. I texted Nate right after they announced the nominations. Like, I don't know. I got a sneaking feeling they're going to give this to Mank because it's just going to be another one of those. You know what? We had a really good history.
Quick pause. I didn't see this earlier. Tim, I think that deserves a shout out as well for Invisible Woman. We missed Elizabeth Moss for Invisible Woman.
Underrated movie as well, and should have been nominated for sound.
We talked about that briefly.
And visual effects.
Yeah,
Kristen,
both of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kristen and Tim were talking about why horror doesn't get more recognition, and it's just like comedy, one of those things that's criminally underrated. And I haven't seen Invisible Man. It's on my list of to watch, but I think that's one of the things that the only thing I've heard is it's a great movie and she's phenomenal in it. So before we got too far into Best Picture, I did want to shout that out. Thanks, Tim.
No, completely agreed. Was on my top 10 as well. Excellent movie.
Same.
So as far as this, something I was a little surprised by only because I can't remember, and one of you guys can correct me. They did a couple of nods for Hamilton in Golden Globes. I'm kind of surprised they didn't throw one or two. Only because
happen.
I don't think they counted it as.
I know it's a weird. Again, it's a weird thing.
Pretty sure it's going to the Emmys. Like I was looking at, I think it might be eligible for the Emmys in some way, shape, or form. It's really strange what they did with Hamilton, and that it's the fact that it's eligible at all.
Yeah, I agree.
You had a similar situation with the small axe films that Steve McQueen did for Amazon, and Amazon decided we're going to position these for Emmys rather than Oscars. Because you had a lot of critics groups awarding several of those movies as the best films of the year. They could have probably contended for Oscars, but Amazon said, TV, that's where we're going.
Sure. I was just that when we're talking about Best Picture, I would be surprised, especially I know it was years ago that they won all their Tonys, but it was one of those things where it was there was a weird lull of not having that juggernaut known as Hamilton, and then a few years later, then when it drops mid-pandemic, everybody sees it again. So that's the only thing I found a little interesting, that they didn't put it up for any eligibility at all.
I didn't even count it on my top 10 because I was this is definitely one of the best films I've seen this year. I gave it a straight A grade, but I was I don't know if I can count it.
I did, but I was biased.
It's weird. If you look at, they took 3 performances, edited together, and made it into this movie of Hamilton. But at the same time, it's still a live recording of it.
I'm not bringing it up saying I'm standing by it and it should be there. I'm saying it was interesting that they didn't put it for anything. We do not have to spend any time on it at all.
I think this is even lower because I don't think Promising Young Woman. There goes my cat's toe.
Hello.
I don't think Promising Young Woman has a lane here because I think it's too love it or hate it.
Gotcha.
So I think very often, especially with the preferential ballot, what ends up happening is it's the most liked film, not the most loved, the most liked.
What do you mean, cough, Green Book, cough?
Exactly. And I think Nomadland is going to be that movie that there's probably no one that outright hates it. Again, I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
I can admire it. I can appreciate it. But my cat is just spinning around. I fed her before we started this so she wouldn't be bothering us. Alas.
If you're talking about Hamilton, I'm not sure, Kristen. We don't know whether or not it's eligible. I think it may be more likely that they'll put it up for Emmys.
Yes, I'm about to say yes. It is, in fact, because I remember reading this a while. It was, in fact, not eligible for Oscars, but it will be, in fact, eligible for the Emmys, like SAG. You saw Daveed Diggs make it in for what was it?
Was it a Globe or a supporting actor?
Well, for a SAG, it's really weird because SAG, he got supporting for musical or not musical, but it's really weird. Golden Globes took it as movies, but then they took it as TV for SAG. So it is utterly bizarre and confusing. And it's
sorry I brought it up.
It's Dan, how could you know?
Sorry.
It's a daywalker. It's both a movie and a TV show.
It's whatever it wants to be at that moment.
What do you want Hamilton to be? That's what it'll be.
I think Nomadland is the odds-on favorite. I don't see Mank getting this. I don't think there is that love for that movie. I'm surprised Gary Oldman got in. Ordinarily, the old Academy, I would say yes, they'll take any opportunity.
10 nominations though.
Yeah,
I was going to say
tech stuff. It didn't get a screenplay nomination. I can't see Mank winning. I gotta go with Nomadland. I think that's the across the board the movie that they admire. And I feel like you got Chloe Zhao winning for, at least in our predictions, for adapted screenplay. And a director, I feel like it takes it home.
I will say I'm not going to count out Minari at all, because if that wins SAG and if that starts to gain momentum in other places, like in screenplay and supporting actress, we could see that come out of nowhere in a way. Do I think that's going to win? No, I think it will be Nomadland, because you're right. It is the most well liked out of everything. It is the most one people are going to look back on and be like, this is going to go right in the middle of my preferential ballot. We still feel so far away from everything that the momentum could change dramatically. Because when they're voting, they're like, I'm gonna scratch that out and put this one over here after I just saw this other film. Because when someone's telling me to go see Promising Young Woman instead of Sound of Metal, or someone's telling me to go see Minari instead of Trial of Chicago 7, and you're gonna see that fluctuate. But right now, Nomadland has the momentum, and I think Nomadland is the most consensually is the consensus,
agreeable, if you will.
Yes, and that doesn't take away. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I was just going to say it's like the median winner, the one that's going to be like highest on most ballots.
Yes, and I see the only other maybe spoiler, as I said, Minari could come out of nowhere because it's starting to creep up, but it's only if it wins SAG. If it doesn't win SAG Ensemble, I don't see it.
SAG is going to be what ends up really setting the tone for the Oscars.
One that helped predict last year with Parasite. It gave us Parasite fans, because I was completely on the Parasite train from the start. When I saw it, favorite movie, was shouting for joy with every Oscar victory it had last year. My last in person with friends sort of gathering that I had. But SAG was the thing that made me go, could this happen?
To give a little bit of a button, it looks like Mank was the highest total nominated film with 10 nominations. I don't think we put it very high for many of them. The next highest were number of films in multiple categories with 6 nominations, each going to Trial of Chicago 7, Sound of Metal, Nomadland, Minari, Judas and the Black Messiah, and The Father. So there was a lot. And then also worth noting was, I want to make sure I get the number right, but Netflix has the best studio representation with 35 nominations, which is, again, going back, telling yourself 15 years ago, hey, this little company that you can get DVDs mailed into you, they're going to have the most nominations for a film studio in 2021.
And that's with like the snubs for Dick Johnson Is Dead, Da Five Bloods, Zendaya. You know, it could have been even more.
Apparently, here's I was going to say real quick, here's a bit of trivia for you too, Nate, is that so Netflix had 35 nominations overall, and it approached a record set by United Artists, and that was made in 1941.
Wow.
And this record for studio was the year of The Philadelphia Story and The Great Dictator, and it landed 45 nominations.
Jeez.
God damn.
Yep. So
that's incredible. No. Holy cow.
All right. Well, those I had a look. Go ahead, Manning. You were trying to say.
Yeah, what I was just going to say is like, even just going back to like, I believe was it the year of Spotlight? I could be wrong. Spotlight, Revenant, Big Short that year.
2015.
2015. When you had that one Netflix film, Beasts of the Southern Wild, I believe.
Beast of No Nation.
Oh, sorry, Beast of No Nation. Thank you. I get them mixed up. Beast of No Nation with Idris Elba. Like he was campaigning. He won the SAG that year. We're thinking, oh, this is the first time that Netflix is probably going to get an actor in there, and then it missed. And we were like, oh, I guess they're not ready for that. And then you cut to like the year later, or maybe I think it was 2 years, might be.
I think it was the Roma year in 2018.
Yeah. I must say. And now here we are. We're over there when things started to Netflix presence began to rise, and now we're like, it has the biggest, most nominations out of any studio. Because you're right, we would not have thought that even just 4 years ago.
It's got 2 of the best picture nominees with Mank and Trial of Chicago 7.
I would also say Netflix is doing things that the studios aren't doing anymore, though, because like the Netflix is basically making the studio pictures, those in-betweeners, that they don't make anymore.
Well, and Nate, you may know, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Trial of Chicago 7 was not originally Netflix, correct? Wasn't
no,
it?
that's a screenplay that Sorkin has had for like a dozen years. In fact, at one point, Steven Spielberg was going to direct it. And then eventually, it got to this other side and Spielberg said, you should direct this. So yeah, it's been around for a while. I thought
the movie was already done and then Netflix bought it. Maybe I was wrong about that.
I don't know what the gestation period was like as far as where Netflix came in the production standpoint.
Gotcha. Anyways, gentlemen, that's been the Oscars for 2021. How are you feeling? What are some final thoughts? How do we let's put a bow on this thing? Where's your head, Eric? I want to hear from you first. Where's your headspace? Being this was such a strange, weird year. Did you see any movies in theater that were nominated for Oscars?
Onward. That was the only one.
You did see it in theaters. I saw it
on an advanced sneak peek.
Okay. So it's one of those things where it's like, especially, I know it's not going to be the same question for Nate, because I know Nate gets a lot of screeners and he sees a lot of them at home already. But I think it's interesting, like, and especially like I brought up a couple of times, we don't have necessarily blockbusters in this year. Like even Mulan like kind of went straight to VOD, and being that the climate and just the landscape of cinema has been so different, do you think we'll see that reflected in how we're like, because a lot of what we're doing tonight was pontificating but on old thoughts. It was on patterns that we have established from probably 20 some odd years of all of us watching film, and then the categories and like how award shows go. Do you think it'll be that different?
I don't think so. But I mean, here we are. It's a couple days after they've nominated these. What really is going to tell you who's going to win is after the other award shows start going. It's going to be the SAG, the producers, the directors, the Writers Guild. Once those start going, then you start getting a clearer picture of where the Academy is going to go. So I don't think so. I mean, those could be the things that end up shaking everything up. But I think right now, because we're going on the old ways, because here's the thing with the Academy. They're pretty good at being consistent.
That's true. But and they were, however, that was also before like A, the world shut down, and then B, they decided to turn it on its head when they're like, Oscars so white, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we're going to get new and young people, and we're going to have all these sexy picks.
We're going to diversify.
Yeah. I say that the Academy you've seen the last 5 years is dramatically different than or at least different enough than the Academy from the start of the 2010s. Because, I mean, you're looking at, yes, there's a Green Book, but you're also looking at Parasite. You're looking at Moonlight. You're looking at The Shape of Water. I mean, those are kind of some daring picks that I don't think the earlier Academy would have gone with. No way would the earlier Academy gone with Moonlight over La La Land.
No, absolutely not.
And they actually did it at least at the beginning. Or at least
they did.
As it was presented.
I remember watching that.
I did too.
I remember Dan was with me.
I was. Everyone else had left. I was screaming because we all thought it was a foregone conclusion. Yeah. So I was screaming at Nate, who went to the bathroom. I'm like, Nate, it's happening. Is this really happening?
I remember just like leaning against the wall and cackling so hard.
Oh my god!
I think that won me the Oscar poll that year too.
I think it did.
Oh, nice.
So, nice. I'll get back to what Eric was saying about the momentum from the other award shows. But Manning, where's your head kind of like with this weird film landscape and having seen as many of the movies as you can back home? Like, do you think things are going to be different with this year, or do you think like a lot of the pontificating we just did over the last 2.5 hours is going to hold true because of patterns past?
COVID is still going to reverberate the ramifications for a while, for a long time, and we've cut 2 months away.
I'm going to highlight Kristen real quick. It's still pretty white.
Yeah.
And old.
Yes.
And male.
It is
especially
male, especially male. And we're making strides, and I feel like we have gone farther than we have in 5 years, but we haven't gone far enough. So you are right, Christian. We can still always go farther. I will also add what I was going to say is that we're still in COVID, and we've lost 2 months from what usually is a regular calendar year. Because I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, did Get Out come out in February? I'm pretty sure
it was February.
February release.
I'm never going to forget that, because few films, that happens with very, very, very few films. Only one that comes to mind is Silence of the Lambs, and that happened along those lines a long time ago. And we're going to feel those effects with the way that we see films, with the way that people consume media. I don't even know if we're going to be going back to films until like midsummer, maybe even late summer along those lines. Maybe we'll all go see No Time to Die in theaters. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But I feel like that now, because of this, people are going to have to re-examine how they do things. Maybe there'll be a partially virtual next year. I don't know. We're always going to have COVID. But I feel like also, as they continue to expand and allow people from, foreign countries, not just the old white men in the Hollywood sphere, but allowing diverse minds, allowing that diversity to permeate all throughout their body, their awards body can become more eclectic. And as Christian was saying, maybe you will get some genre films like, horror. Maybe we'll get some more comedies like we had with Borat's subsequent movie film. Maybe this is a time for change. And I think if they had a time, hey, this is the time we need to start to implement change. And I'm ready to see films in theaters, and I'm excited to see if that happens. But right now, I'm just kind of waiting. I'm just waiting for anything right now. And I just kind of want to see, I want to see these, I want to see these artists highlighted in a way. And I feel like we're getting to there finally at some point after all these years.
Yeah, for sure. Nate, similar questions, final thoughts. Where's your head at with basically everything we just talked about?
I agree with the gentleman. I do think that they'll probably settle into patterns like they've done. And I do think that it is an exciting time as far as just the inroads they're making with diversity, with representation, with just not even just the diversity of the kinds of movies we've seen, that there are more like something like, I don't know if Promising Young Woman a few years ago would be included on this list. It might have just been categorized as too genre-y, let alone like Get Out winning for Best Screenplay that year and be nominated for Best Director and all those things from 2017. So I think, though, that if there's one significant change that is going to happen going forward is I think the streaming cat is out of the bag. I think that they can't go back. I think they're going to make streaming films eligible from here on out. I think they mitigate the requirement of having like the 1 week theatrical run, especially in a much more digital world anyway. So I think
it was like 2 in New York and LA. Like that was the bare minimum.
Something like, it had to play. And they got around it with the OJ documentary that was 6 hours or 8 hours because of that, because it couldn't fit in as the number of screenings that it needed to. But so they already bent the rules anyway. So I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to change, and I welcome it because I think it also means that you'll have much more opportunities for those smaller films that could catch fire, that are deserving of notice. Something like a Palm Springs that could. Is deserving of more attention, and maybe it would have got lost in the shuffle otherwise. So I think opening up the pool of eligibility is only going to increase worthy movies, especially in genres and comedy or international films, things that you would not see ordinarily getting more attention and thus more consideration and hopefully more recognition.
Lovely. Very, very well put. The last little bit of housekeeping I want to do is we brought up a few times the other award ceremonies. Big ones are probably going to be Guilds. And then, as Manning brought up a few times, is BAFTA. So pay attention to these dates. The PGA nominations are out. I'm not going to go through them because we've already taken a lot of time. But the award ceremony is a virtual show on March 24th. So that's very soon. The SAG Awards are going to be on Sunday, April 4th. The DGA Awards are going to be on April 10th, and then the BAFTAs are on April 11th. So in the next 3 weeks, we're going to have a much more clear picture of what the Oscars could look like or what direction they're going to go. Gentlemen, speaking of old, white, and male, we are all definitely 2 of the 3 of those things, and that would be the Ramble On About Movies Oscar prediction special for 2021. Holy shit, we did it. Let's go ahead and say, Manning, where can people find you? Plug some stuff. Let us know what's going on.
You can find me hosting the Gone with the Wind podcast on Take 3 Productions YouTube channel, where I host it. Usually depends on how quick things go. But usually it's once a week. You can find a podcast that comes out on Monday or Tuesday. So look forward to that this coming week, as well as my YouTube channel, Manning Franks, where you can find me there, where I do video essays and so forth. Also, you can actually follow me on Twitter at if you look.
There it is.
At Cinda_man. That's CINE_MANN. Boom. So I look forward to seeing y'all there.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to drop you out. We're going to wrap up with Nate, and we're going to wrap up this show. Great having you on, man. It was awesome.
Thank y'all.
Great to be part of it, man.
So, Nate, same thing to you. Thank you for joining us. We always have a blast whenever you come on. So much fun. You were a very highly accredited screenwriter. We're happy to have you and get you. And the knowledge is, we can't say enough good things about it. So where can people find you if they want to follow your stuff?
There's a Twitter account. Just plug my name in. The website.
The only one.
That's right. Website with 20 years of film reviews on it. Again, just thename.com. And stay tuned for web series, Spirited Side Me, working on that, hopefully delivering that in the next couple of months.
I'll be there.
Something we filmed a couple years ago.
I'll be there.
Dan was a part of as well.
I was part of it.
You were part of it. So
and Eric was my ghost bro.
Ghost Bros.
Ghost Bros for life.
That's
All
right.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me. It's a pleasure. It always is, seeing your faces and being part of your show and just sharing in a communal passion of ours.
We did it. Thanks, Kristen. She's partying for us. All right, dropping Nate out. Well, that was the thing that just happened for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I feel like we don't need a show next week now.
Well, and that's possible. I'll say now, we're working on the behind the scenes stuff. I'm going to have to work this time next week, so we'll debate. If this is twice the size of our normal show, we may just forego one next week and do a normal one the week after.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll let you know one way or the other. You can find Clever Eric Muller and me here on the Pachucan. I think. Oh, I do have things to plug for the network, so I'm glad I remember that before I
plug.
Well, God save the man known as Chris Clark, who not only got us Manning, but popped in to say that we have this going on tomorrow, where there's a watch along. Executive producer pick Ricardo Franco picked Lady Bird, so
great film.
Be watching some Lady Bird with a bunch of other friends. We do also have a Patreon. Check those fun tiers and things out. A lot of stuff there. This coming Sunday, oh boy. Hopefully
I'll watch it before then.
I might watch it tonight. I'm debating. We'll see if it happens. But on the Unwind, they will be talking Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League. But to end on a much more celebratory note, next Wednesday, a week from yesterday, the 1 year celebration of the Pachucan as a network. I will be on there probably most of that stream. I'm sure Eric will pop on in the beginning before it gets too late for him. Mm-hmm. So definitely come by, hang out. That's going to be a lot of fun. There are so many, like you can see how many people there are on that photo alone.
And there's going to be more
people. Yeah, you should see how many people are actually going to stop by the stream, because it's going to be insanity, nuts, a lot of fun. Eric, my dude, we did it.
We did it.
Anything else? Ruby did it.
Just remember, I've won Best Live Action Eric again, so suck it, Eric Roberts.
You heard him. Suck it, Eric Roberts. That's our show. As always, ramble on.
Anger's away.